Courtney Bramage lifted. Sophie Locke featured in the coaching votes last week. I didn't think she had a real sort of impact on the game until she come into the game in the last quarter and kicked the goal to seal it. So that was, it really did look like a win last week for Port Melbourne that started to turn the wheel, and we'll see how they go today, following on from that.
And Toby, North Melbourne are the Darebin Falcons bunny. 2 years in a row, despite how the struggles that Darebin have had, they've beaten North at Arden Street Oval. They did it again last week, 3-6-24 to 1-2-8, and that was despite Jess Duffin marking everything that she could for North Melbourne across defence. Yeah, well, this was your game you called last week, Pete, so you might be a little bit better at talking about it than me, but it was a big from Angelica Gogos. Am I saying that correctly? Correct. Yeah, she piled on the tackles, 11 tackles from her. So the pressure was there for Darebin. I thought North Melbourne, just watching back that replay, were largely wasteful. It was a low-scoring affair. And had they converted a couple of those inside 50s, could have been a different story. How many AFLW listed players did North have? We know that's been a bit of a talking point. I mean, I'm looking at, they got Duffin, who had 27 touches in the game. They had Brick Gibson in the game, who was very quiet down in the forward line as well. Perry King. They had a handful, but they just couldn't compete against the likes of Gogos, Cullinan, and who veterans with AFLW experience. Some journeywomen that have been around the traps, and Steph Simpson and Alyssa Mifsud. So they just couldn't compete, North Melbourne, against that, and they'll be absolutely kicking themselves. In fact, they were dominant with more inside 50s, I think, against Darebin in the first half, but Darebin led on the scoreboard, which absolutely puzzled us. But that leaves the ladder like this. Two teams on 4 and zip. Essendon and Casey sit atop of the table. Behind them, 3 teams on 3 and 1. Geelong, Hawthorn and the Southern Saints. Collingwood on a big percentage gap leads Darebin Falcons in the race for 6. So, yes, believe it or not, the Falcons are sitting in 7th and knocking on the door. They're followed by Williamstown, Port Melbourne and Carlton on 1 and 3. The 2 teams that are winless, North Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. And Darebin later today play Carlton. You'd think that's potentially another winnable game. Been moved to Icon Park, even though it is their home game, the Falcons. Yes. So, well, this is an interesting situation today. If Port Melbourne knock off Collingwood, and if Darebin can knock off Carlton, Darebin would jump into the 6. Wouldn't that be great for the Falcons? We know they only won 1 game last season. They've already outdone themselves this year, Toby. Are you guys going to be there, I think, later on today, Icon Park? Yeah, I'll be joining Pete. Heading over there? I'll duck home for a feed, and then I'll be straight off to Princess Park for, I think we've got 2 phenomenal games of football this afternoon. I'm looking forward to both of them. We'll take this opportunity to take a break. When we return, we're going to discuss an AFLW issue, plus the bounce down at 9:45 between Collingwood and Port Melbourne. Don't you go anywhere.
No business wants to throw money away. But did you know sending resources to landfill can be more expensive than recycling them? Planet Ark's free business recycling service can kickstart your workplace recycling journey, help you find the right recycling solutions, and give you a competitive edge. Join the 1 million Australians using business recycling to keep valuable resources in circulation. Visit businessrecycling.com.au. It's just good business.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Lowe, long jump gold medalist and world record holder. When I was 15, I was waiting to catch my train. In a split second, my life changed. As the train arrived, the crowd surged forward. I was too close to the platform edge, lost my balance, and fell into the path of the oncoming train. I was in a coma for 2 weeks, and it took 2 years to walk again. So please, stand back, look up, and stay rail safe.
We are the Australian Literacy and Numeracy Foundation, striving to empower our most marginalised communities through literacy and education. Literacy is having a voice. Literacy is opportunity. Literacy is dreaming big. Literacy is freedom. Today, you can help end inequality and give every child access to our life-changing and proven literacy programs. Your support is vital. Donate now at alnf.org.
How often should you wash your hands?
Maybe around 9 times a day. 4?
Like 20?
Maybe twice a day.
Whenever they feel dirty.
When should you wash your hands?
After you touch some raw meat.
And before starting to eat. At the beginning, I wash my hands before preparing food.
How would you rate your knowledge of food safety?
Probably like an 8 out of 10. 6 or 7.
7.5.
Learn more at foodsafety.asn.au/food safety training. Food safety, it's in your hands.
If you've had something stolen,
or if you've had property damaged, you need the police, not the sirens.
If you've lost something or found something valuable,
or if you want to register a party or let us know you're going away on holiday, you need the police, not the sirens.
When you need the police, but not the sirens, you can now report these incidents online at police.vic.gov.au or call 131 444.
Authorised by the Victorian Government, Melbourne.
Come on. Feeling like you're not getting anywhere? Drop into the Reach Out website at reachout.com.au and we'll help you get back on track.
That's better.
When times are tough, clear your head at reachout.com.au.
Life can be really tough when you or a close family member has cancer. But if you're 12 to 25, Canteen's in your corner. Canteen provides whatever practical and emotional support you need, from connecting you with other young people who get what you're going through, to helping you develop new skills to cope, and just bringing back some fun into your world. So if cancer's messing with your life, check out canteen.org.au. And remember, Canteen's in your corner.
If you're after the most comprehensive coverage on women's football across Australia, then look no further than Rookie Me Central. Formerly Draft Central, Rookie Me Central has news and reviews, podcasts, videos, and much, much more on all the state leagues across the country, including the VFL Women's and NAB League Girls. Find out why everyone turns to Rookie Me Central for their women's football content. Follow Rookie Me Central on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rookie Me Central.
Hi, Matt Welsh here. In Australia, drowning is one of the biggest killers of kids under 5. So take a few minutes to check your pool barrier set for this summer. Visit kidsafe.com.au to find out how. Because safe barriers save lives.
A tough time doesn't excuse abusive behaviour at home. Even in crisis, there's no place for domestic or family violence. If you, your family or community is affected, help is available online and by phone 24/7. For free, confidential advice, support and counselling for everyone, contact 1-800-RESPECT. There's no place for domestic or family violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
It's women's Aussie rules, they're doing what they love. They're fast, they're tough, don't mess with them cause they can get rough. Are you ready for the challenge? Are you ready for the match? It's the call of the game. It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day. It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day.
Indeed, it is the VFL Women's Match of the Day here on WARFradio.com at the ground, delay free on 89.1 FM. And hello to those joining us now on the VFLW YouTube channel. You've got Peter Holden, Brent Sturberg and Toby Hanson of Victoria Park, Abbotsford, to bring you Collingwood versus Port Melbourne. Collingwood 2-2 coming off a loss against Hawthorn here last week. Port Melbourne 1-3 having their first win of the season after defeating Carlton at Icon Park. And we should give a shout out. We will be chatting to people in the live chat on YouTube at any stage that you're watching along. Mark Muller and Kev's Magpies, they're watching on as well. Hello to them. And we'll answer your questions at halftime as well if you post it in the live chat on YouTube.
And who are they supporting?
I don't know, Carlton, maybe?
Mr. Magpies.
Yes. One quick issue to talk about before we get underway with the 9:45 a.m. bounce down this morning. The AFL has kind of floated during the week to be confirmed, go through votes, get consultations, and the players to have their piece, etc., that they're talking about moving the season to run from August to early December, starting from this year. Toby Hanson, your thoughts?
Well, Pete, look, I understand there are arguments at both sides, but you think about when the grand final is going to be December. That means you can't play the grand final at the Gabba. You can't play at the MCG. You can't play at Marvel Stadium. You can't play at Adelaide Oval. You can't play at Perth Stadium. You can't play at the Sydney Cricket Ground. You can't play, I don't know where you can.
Bloodstone Arena.
Yeah, you can't play Belgrave Oval.
Nice to see you've seen my tweet.
Where can you play? It sounds like a decision that hasn't had a whole lot of thought put into it. It's a bit much to expect our girls as well to rebound so quickly.
The biggest ground you could hold it on that is exclusive to footy would be Icon Park at around 20,000. So you wouldn't be able to beat the 53,000 record that was set at Adelaide Oval. There is the possibility of Metricon because they do manage the stadium, but that's depending on when cricket gets on there. And then Marvel, again, is up in the air because the AFL do own the stadium, so they could tell Cricket Australia, no, our ground's not available for Big Bash to January. But, will they make that decision and turn down Big Bash money? But, yeah, like you've said, at least the traditional cricket grounds, and then like Libby Birch wrote an article just a couple of weeks ago saying, I'd love that, we're bold enough and big enough that AFLW could play its finals on the MCG. You move to that window, that's never happening. Never.
Well, it does also, obviously you do also have to think about who's playing in this grand final, because of course if it's Adelaide and Gold Coast, you don't really want to be playing it at Icon Park where the crowd, you saw the Big Bash final this year where 2 interstate sides played at Marvel and there was a couple hundred rock up. So I think it is probably not the right decision in that aspect. I would love to see the AFLW grand final to be played at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, but that's just the traditionalist in me, Pete.
I think that I don't know if there's going to be a there's not going to be a perfect time slot in terms of the calendar to play it. So I think they just need to try and work out when is best and then just stick with it. Having it from August to December raises a lot of other questions as well. Like what do you do with the draft? Like if the draft stayed in its natural habitat, you'd be drafting players 3/4 of the way through the season. That can't happen. You'd have to then move the entire NAB League girls season, potentially do something with the age, the draft age. There's too much stuff here.
What do you do with the state leagues? Because the state leagues moved to originally line up, excluding Queensland, who decided to do their own thing again, along with Sydney. And now all of a sudden you go, well, hang on, the VFLW moved to align with that. Are we going to do 2 VFLW seasons, even though the VFLW is going to end in June, July? It's like, what? Everyone's shrugging their heads, going, how does this all line up? It's like the AFLW's thought of itself, but not the bigger picture. And I know some have been talking about clear air. Boys, we've all worked in media or studying media. I think that's actually the worst possible time if they're talking about clear air, because let's consider this. You start in late August. If you're a mainstream media journo, let's be honest, you're writing more about men's than women's because it gets the clicks. That's where the money is at the moment. So you start in August. Teams that can't make the finals, what are you doing as a journo? You're focusing on them because as soon as their final round comes to an end, right, who got cut from their list? And who do they need to pick up? It's all about, bang, who's out the door, which coach could be getting fired. That's what all the copy's about. You're not talking about AFLW round 1 in that bye week. Then the AFLW men's finals rolls in where you're allegedly playing weeks 2, 3, 4 of the AFLW. During that time, you're talking AFLW, everyone's talking about the finals. They're talking about the Players' MVP. They're talking about the Coaches' Awards. They're talking about the All-Australian. Then we've got the actual men's grand final. That's going to suck up all of September. You've gone if you're playing like an 11, 12-week season, you've gone almost halfway through your season and no one's talking about you because you're at the peak of the men's season. By the time the grand finals come over, a lot of supporters are going, just breathing that the men's season is over. They kind of want to miss footy for a bit. Let's just say, for example, you're a Collingwood supporter, and Collingwood were running last in the men's, and they were having an awful season. Okay, the last thing you want to do is more football. And even if the women are going, well, you're like, I'm still kind of flat from... And then all of a sudden you go into Trade Talk Radio and how they milk that for 2 to 3 weeks. That goes through October. Then you're going to be talking about the draft. You've got a busy off-season happening in that window. I don't see where the column-in space is for AFLW in that window.
A memo to Ms. Livingston and Mr. McLaughlin, there is no clean air. I'm sorry, there is no clean air. So you need to just work out, all right, when is this going to suit us best? When can we get it out of the summer, move it into a certain situation so we don't have to muck with the draft or anything, and then go with it?
I think the best window, as much as players may not like the summer, may be from that late October, so after you're out of that Trade Talk window area, running through to get your finals in March, because when you got the build-up in February, March, that kind of February-March period is a dead period when it comes to sports. I think that might be your best bet, because anything else, like I said, you're running in August, you're running into the men's finals, and then if you go traditional winter running alongside the men's, well, then you're competing against the men's AFL and the men's state leagues as well. So, You know, it's choose your poison almost. Each situation's not a great situation. Which one do you want?
Interesting to see what they go with.
Indeed.
It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day.
To get us underway for Collingwood and Port Melbourne, here's Brent Sternberg.
Round 5 action. Collingwood looking to get back on the winners list. Port Melbourne looking to string 2 and 2. 2 wins together, I should say. It was Matzer and Dudley into the ruck, and then Bramage, who was tackled immediately by Demi Hallett, who's coming fresh off 22 tackles last week.
Wow.
Look out for her in the bright blue hair. How could you miss her? Bunker now applying a good tackle. Premiership vice-captain for the Magpies. The ball's moved all of about 3 metres and will do it all again right on the perimeter of the centre circles. Port Melbourne kicking to the Sherrin stand end in this opening quarter. That's to the right of your dial or to the right of screen. Here come the Magpies. Run down from behind. It was Hallett by Bramage. Kick forward there for Port Melbourne. To half forward they go. Straight through the legs of Reid. Sophie Locke, I should say, the older sister. Got it off there to Stutt, who kicked it deep into attack. That's going to run and bounce through for a behind, and Port Melbourne are on the board early. It is the first score of this one. Port Melbourne one behind, Collingwood yet to score. Magpies to kick the ball back into play from underneath the famous old Sherrin stand.
And they'll bring it towards the broadcast side, going short to Nicole Hales, playing her 50th VFLW game for the Pies. Nicole Hales on the right boot, getting close towards the boundary line. Spots up the target, and Grace Master. Master with the football. Elects to go on the left boot. Wants to come inboard. Well-weighted kick. Yeah. Spotting up Chaston. Chaston with the footy. Swings around on the right boot, going straight up the line. Hallett was there, stood down. While Barnett flew for the football. Brought it to ground. Barnett wants to do her own roving work. Lisa Davey went with her. Dispossessed her momentarily to Marla Neal, who almost brought down Rain with her kick. Dudley didn't elect to take the mark, but double punched it forward. Wanting to get onto it is Davey. The ball raced away from her, though. Chaston's got it. Got harassed. And passed away. The umpire says not in time. That's a free kick going the way of the Borough.
Katie O'Keefe, one of the players that Sean Bunkle mentioned in the pre-game, recruited out of Keilor in the Essendon District Footy League. And to the outer side now, Port Melbourne have it just back of the wing. It's Isabella Stutt, who kicked a goal last week. Here comes Sophie Locke now, who's started sprightly onto the bouncing ball. Kicks to the outer side. Port Melbourne looking to come forward again. Marla Neal comes over to stand the mark. Forward go the Borough. Deep kick inside 50. Emily Harley in front couldn't take the mark. The spoil come from behind by Katie Lee. Hales, she's got Pedersen. Pedersen will give it back there. Collingwood looking to come out. It's Hannah Bowie. Comes out towards the broadcast side. Race on. Port Melbourne will get there first in Maddie Shaw. Beautifully worked off it there. Well done, Matilda Zander, who then got boot to ball. Might be coming back, though. Barton for the first time today. Wobbles one towards Dudley, who's reaching for it. Did she get a hand on that? No, umpire says out by Lasso. Collingwood to bring it back in. It'll be Matilda Zander to bring it back in for the Pies, a 2021 Team of the Year member. And she's going to go right down the line and turn it over, will she? She will. Olivia Barton, who is a fantastic young defender for the Borough. She's going to bring it inboard. And Port Melbourne looking to just possess the football. And here is Chloe Noodle Locke, who will send Port Melbourne into the middle of the ground.
And Chloe Locke goes up the line. Her kick almost intercepted. Good work in there by Jess Joyce to bring the ball to ground. Bramage tried to fight her way through. Hallett waiting on the outside of the pack. Umpire blows the whistle, calls for a ball up. Our opportunity to get some first thoughts from Toby Hansen.
Well, Collingwood looked pretty strong going down the line across that half-back line. There was a good run of play between Master as they came out of the halfback earlier in the quarter. That one's going to go out for a lasso, Pete.
Yep, indeed. Free kick going the way of the Port Melbourne Boroughs. They have to run down their own race to go get the footy. Umpire sets the player on the mark. Right in front of our broadcast position on WARFradio.com, your home of women's footy. Also on 89.1 FM at the ground, delay free, and you're watching us on the VFLW YouTube channel. Madison Shaw goes with the kick on the right boot. Wants to come inboard. Oh, it could almost be turned over. Couldn't quite stick then for Colburn Veal, who was running through. Tried to get it out to Marla Neal. Missed her completely. Ball on the deck. Hallett jumped in there. Couldn't squeeze it out. Pies do eventually get the football, though. Ripped down Caitlin Bunker. Managed to get it to their advantage, though. Adams tried to lay on the tackle. Spoiled it, but it went to the advantage of Chaston, who said, "Get out of my way!" And Chaston goes long for Barnett. Barnett's got space if she can pick it up. She's got Chloe Locke on her hammer. Barnett elects to, I don't know if she was half-heartedly passing or thinking about a shot, but she's gone right across the face of goal, and the ball will go over the boundary line and out of bounds away from DiMatteo. And we'll have a throw-in 25 metres around from the right-hand point post. The Borough lead the Magpies, 1 behind and no score.
First time inside 50 for the Magpies. How long have we gone in the first quarter? Nearly 4.5 minutes. Port Melbourne 1 behind. Collingwood awaiting their first score. Can they get it here? Oh boy, it was a shallow throw in. Bunker, who started well, left foot kick towards the top of the goal square. Barnett reaching for it. Xander went off the deck. It was a good idea. Off target, offline the whole way, and through for Collingwood's first score of the morning, and it's a minus score to them also. So we're all tied up. Interesting kick there from Imogen Barnett, wasn't it? It looked like she was going for goal. A young lady who kicked more goals than anybody else last season, 21 goals, 10, so she doesn't miss very often. Just 3 goals in the early part of the season for Imogen Barnett, who was rewarded with her stellar season last year with a spot on Collingwood's AFLW list. Port Melbourne have it in the back pocket. Chloe Locke kicking towards the outer side, and it's intercepted there by Bunker, outdoing Claire Dyatt. So the two captains going at one another. Bunker to send it back inside 50. Oh, the two Locke sisters got in each other's road there. They should have had a bit better communication. Here's a chance now for Collingwood. Hard ball to be won. Will Port Melbourne concede? Olivia Barton will concede. Collingwood lead for the first time today. 2 behinds they are. Port Melbourne just the 1, and Olivia Barton will bring it in. What end are we calling that today, Peter?
I think we're calling it the Yarra Falls end of the ground. We get some thoughts on Toby Hansen.
Caitlin Bunker just launched herself to 6 disposals now. Interesting stat, if she gets above 15 disposals, Collingwood have won this season.
Peterson from the back pocket going up the line, trying to look for Adams. The ball was just tapped away out of her hands. Trying to kick it off the carpet there. Grace Master didn't work out, but it's a Port Melbourne ball. They kick it up towards the centre wing. 2-on-1 situation. Overrunning it, Isabella Stutt. Taken away there by Neve O'Connor. Ricocheted off her boot. Umpire said play it on. It was taken by Bunker, who dropped it and got it back again. Bunker on the left boot. 1-2 bounces and over the boundary line and out of play. 65 metres around from the Collingwood goal. Just a friendly reminder, coming up on the AFL.com.au stream, AFL.com.au, and also on the AFL Live app, you've got the Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn. The kick in from the Borough is intercepted, though. I think it was the kick by O'Keefe that was intercepted in the end by Danica Pedersen. Pedersen gets the hurry up from the umpire, has to try and dance around Beth Wilson. Pedersen, long and high, over the head there of Hallett. Had hands on it momentarily, Hootsma. Ball hit the ground, umpire says stacks on the pill, and will come in and call for a ball up. We'll get some quick thoughts from Toby Hansen.
Port Melbourne, well, they're not really spread across that half-forward line like we've traditionally seen, or at least last week. Seem a lot more bunched now, and that option going forward now, there's no one for Port Melbourne's centre half back to get forward.
Colborne Veal's kick forward was intercepted by Kayla Peterson, and Peterson's coughed it up as well. Hales to Colborne Veal. Here come the Maggies. Kick inside 50. Imogen Barnett just put off by the Port Melbourne play, but here's Di Matteo, who's going to try and roll that one through. Oh, she probably should have gone with the drop punt, I reckon. It's a 3rd behind for the Maggies. Monique Di Matteo, who joins the Magpies after formerly being on Essendon's VFLW list, played for Diamond Creek last season. They're just peppering away, aren't they, the Maggies? Might get you to have a look, Toby, and see who Port Melbourne have running with Caitlin Bunker, because she's started like a house on fire. Port Melbourne have it here in the left back pocket.
And they'll go for a run on the right boot and kick it long up the line, only for it to be intercepted. I think it's Barnett out there who's got it and swings around on the left boot, goes high, high, high. In fact, this is Barnett now that's getting underneath. It was Master who kicked it, who puts it in the direction of Di Matteo, and the ball will scoot through for a minor score. Collingwood doing all the attacking. They are 4 behind. Port Melbourne just the 1 behind. Here on WARFradio.com. And 89.1 FM at the ground as the ball is kicked back into play. It's got to be good. It is. It's well weighted. O'Keefe now with the football. Now just goes with a little toe poker. Just going to be short there of Navarro, who is under pressure. Hallett turned her over. Gave off the quick hand pass to Ricardo.
Bang.
Ricardo hits the sweet spot 40 metres out from goal, directly in front to Imogen Barnett.
This is who you want with ball in hand, Toby. We mentioned about how accurate she was in front of goal.
She kicked 3 last time we were here for the Williamstown game a couple of weeks ago. Brett, to get back to who's running around with Caitlin Bunker. She was a floater in that contested play. No one wanted to pick her up.
Barnett on the right boot. It is high. It is wide to the right. And we'll take one bounce and go over the boundary line and out of bounds. Forward throw in 3 metres around from the right-hand point post.
And we mentioned Imogen Barnett, who kicked those 3 goals against Williamstown, her only 3 goals of the season. And she has played a couple of games at AFLW level. And that potentially might be all she plays unless Collingwood can win later today and get themselves into the finals. Of course, they're playing Richmond later on this afternoon. What time's first bounce in that one, Peter Holden?
Which game was that again, sorry?
That's Collingwood and Richmond. Here later
3:10 p.m. exactly.
Oh, there we go. We can see the food trucks and whatnot setting up on the outer side. Collingwood have it inside 50. Good work there by Di Matteo to try and get it to Grace Matzer, the former Casey Demon. Fired out a handball. It's come to Colborne-Veal outside of the boot. Here comes Barnett again. Cleverly got it to Di Matteo, who from deep in the pocket kicked it across the face. Now, will Hootsma decide to keep this one in? No, she'll see it go out of play. And she doesn't realise that that last disposal out of bounds rule is only between the arcs. She was looking for a free kick. Umpire said no. He said we're going to ball it in deep in the left forward pocket. Collingwood into attack. They lead 4 behinds to Port Melbourne's 1.
As the ball is spinning back into play, Dudley does the ruck work there for Port Melbourne. Got it to the advantage of O'Keefe, who kicked it up the line. Matza had it momentarily, not knocked out of her hands. Brought down without the ball store. Umpire said you got to play on. Bowie's trying to run around there. Hallett tries to go in and lay another tackle. Matza just tries to whack it along the carpet. No dice at the moment. Harley goes in there for Port Melbourne. Umpire comes in, says no opportunity. And we'll call for a ball up right on the paint. 50 metres out from the Collingwood goal. Attacking left of screen or the Yarra Falls end. Dudley roved off there marvellously by Neil. Gave it across to Bowie. Bowie put it on the right boot. Went deep inside the forward line towards the forward pocket. Close towards the points. Taking it over the boundary line and out of bounds. Being tackled was McWeeny. And we'll throw it in once more. About 20 metres around, or actually less than that, 10 metres around from the left-hand point post.
Been a very important player through the early parts of the season. Zoe McWhinney, recruited out of the Fitzroy Footy Club in the VAFA. She normally takes the opposition's number 1 forward, and that's no exception today. She's playing on Imogen Barnett. There's a good handball from Emmond. Couldn't quite win it there, Bowie, for the Pies, but she's still in the contest, and now she's caught Ingrid Hootsma high. One of a couple of Richmond AFLW listed players in the team today. That's not a bad-looking kick, although Collingwood have the outnumber. There's Bunker again. O'Connor. Back inside 50 go the Pies. Couldn't quite get a mark. There was Chloe Locke. And then they've interfered with Chaston, has that Port Melbourne defender. So here is Eloise Chaston, who will get up to have a little look at the sticks. Collingwood still looking for their first goal of the morning. They've been dominating the territory battle. I don't think Port Melbourne have had it past halfway for a little while. Here's Eloise Chaston, her first game for Collingwood at VFLW level. Played half a dozen games for Hawthorn last season. This is within her range. It's going to drop into the goal square, off the hands of Barnett. Emmond couldn't rove it. Here's an important kick for the Borough. It comes from Shaw. Peterson has to get to that one. She did. That's great play by Akayla Peterson to get her hand on it and stop it going out lasso, because it did eventually go out beyond the 50. We'll get a ball in about 52 or 3 around from Collingwood's goal.
And the umpire just takes his time, make sure everyone's lined up in their correct position. Neve O'Connor accepting to do the ruck work here for the Pies up against Dudley of Port Melbourne. Dudley brought it down. Waiting for it on the outside, Ricardo, if they can get it to her. Neil takes it instead for Collingwood. Got it to Neve O'Connor. Melody got crunched. Emmon managed to get the football. Thought about their hand pass. Had to give it up because the Port Melbourne player was coming at her. Keep an eye, Pies player down behind play, boys. As we go now and pick up the football with Ebony Rowe, who snapped it round the corner towards the hot spot. Doziok got just past her. Trying to chase after it and trying to create the pressure. There is Bella Smith for the Pies. Hand pass while under pressure. In went Chaston as well. Bella Smith went in one more time. Xander with an indiscriminate boot there was Matilda Xander. Now back out to Neil. Neil now kicked it in towards Emmon. Emmon ran into traffic. Just quickly put it on the boot towards the top of the square. Barnett was there. Doesn't get conceded for a point. It's kept alive by Peterson for the Borough. And we'll go towards the halfback flank on the outer side of the ground. A little bit of a hot potato out there, but it doesn't matter. It's picked up in the end by Hootsma. Hootsma wants to go down the line, but it's a grubber of a kick. Pies ball, and they have it on the half-forward flank. Picked up by Marlon Neal. Neal crunched by Peterson at the crucial moment. Close towards the boundary line. Kept in there on that occasion by Chloe Locke. Locke sends it back from whence it came. Going up the line on the wing position. City side of the ground. Nicole Hales picks up the football now. Gives off the quick hand pass to a player under pressure in Katie Lee. Was smothered off her boot. Hales has to go back in again and get it. She gets immediately put into the ground. Got the hand pass away according to the umpire. Getting rolled over there. By look of his Caitlin O'Keefe. Umpire now comes in and says, guess what? It's going nowhere. It's time to call for a ball up.
Great play from both of those teams. I think that was Marla Neal who was down injured. She got back up, and since then I think she's had 3 possessions. Marla Neal, who won the best first-year player at Collingwood last season. And then we've also got another player for the Pies who's calling to the bench and limping off. We'll have a look and see who that is as Xander comes darting through the middle of Victoria Park. Bombs one to half forward. Barnett couldn't quite get there, and now her direct opponent, McWhinney, will take it. Little kick to O'Keefe. That won't be 15, and O'Keefe was wise to it. A high ball inside 50. Bramage, who's been quiet in this first quarter, couldn't take the mark. Over it now is Rowe. There goes Courtney Bramage, who was penalised for a sling tackle. Okay, Ebony Rowe will get up to take the kick. Because Collingwood don't have numbers on the front of their jumper, we're struggling to pick up who this Collingwood player is, but she'll be replaced by Demi Hallett. Turn around so we can see your number. Forward go Collingwood. Back with the flight. Oh, it didn't matter. Winbanks couldn't get there, and Imogen Barnett, they've got a real problem deep inside their defensive 50, Port Melbourne, with this lady here, Imogen Barnett. She's going to have another look. Have we picked out who that player is, gents?
Danica Pedersen. It was Marla Neal that was down behind play earlier. She was at 2 disposals when she went down. Launched herself to 5.
So she kicked into gear as Marla Neal. Here's Imogen Barnett from as good as directly in front, about 40 metres out. She's already had one look. Whoa, that one's wild and away to the left. Won't have the carry. Collingwood can't take the mark. It was Chaston there. Off hands and out of play. In the shadows of the left forward pocket, we'll get a ball in.
Right here on WARFradio.com, at the ground 89.1 FM, and on the VFLW YouTube channel. 3-point lead to the Magpies over the Borough as we wait for the ball to come back into play. Bit of pushing and shoving going on in the ruck work. Winbanks, Marla Neal got almost falconed on the way through. Colburnville tried to scrap him for the football. Hurried hand pass out by Hootsma, who had to go back in again for a second crack at it. Chloe Lock, hands and knees, tried to get it out. Pickpocketed there by Hallett, who immediately got poured into the ground. And the umpire says no opportunity. And we'll call for a ball up. We're around about 35 metres out from goal for Collingwood. Yeah, and one of the Port Melbourne players is down. After, I think it might be Chloe Lock, after hitting her head on the ground in that tackle. And the trainer's coming out straight away.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's her sister Sophie and the trainers who are both out to her having a bit of a look.
Absolutely concerned now. The umpire has blown the double whistle. And just a reminder about the rules in the VFLW. We play 20 minutes with no time on, excluding if there's a serious injury. And when there is a serious injury, the umpire will blow the whistle twice to indicate to the timekeepers to stop the clock.
It's been a bit of a brutal start, Toby. We've had some girls sore and coming off.
It has been a bit of a shout for one of the players coming onto the field. But
was it Emmond or Marla Neal coming off? I think she's got her own fan club, whoever it was.
I think it might be. But Danica Pearson getting a bit of work done on that right hamstring. She played a bit of football up north for the Waratah Football Club in the NTFL. They've got a preliminary final 6 p.m. tonight against Nightcliff in the Women's Premier League up in the NTFL. So to the back end of that season.
Both teams just getting into their huddles. There's some
like
concern here for Chloe.
Yeah, Chloe is holding her head at the moment, and they're just trying to keep an eye on her neck. Just holding her hand. Sister Sophie helping her up, and just holding around the sinuses area. And I'm hoping it's probably not like a blood nose order because she's got like her head back to try and keep that. But certainly. I mean, I guess in one positive way, it's not the stretcher that's been called out.
We've seen a few players across the last couple of weeks in this league taken off on the stretcher, haven't we? Never good to see. It is good to see Chloe, as dazed as she looks. She's coming from the ground kind of on her own accord. The trainer's got her there.
So we're not ruling her out of the game, but you would say doubtful at this stage. As obviously those watch on YouTube, and where the ball's being reset is at 35 metres out from the Collingwood goal, going to the Yarra Falls end. As Chloe Lock comes from the ground for the Port Melbourne Borough, and Brent Sternberg will get you underway with the restart.
And that bump there is a late birthday present for Chloe. She turned can I get my math right here? 19 during the week. Happy birthday, Chloe. Hope you're feeling better soon. Now here's Sophie, who just got boot to ball. Oh, coming through there, but going straight past it. I think might have been Ebony Rowe. Hot ball up for grabs here late in the opening quarter. Emmond onto it. Left foot kick will land in a good spot. Harley couldn't get it. Great attack there by that Collingwood player. Was it Xander who might be getting a free kick for too high? And she's a little bit sore as well. But this is going to be a very good look at goal. And it is Tilly Xander who will line up 30 metres out right in front. And she's earned that free kick, Matilda Xander, Toby, because she come flying in.
She was 2020 Norwood Sandford WBNF. She's still a good 30 or so metres home.
2 goals on the season for Matilda Xander. Well within range, right in front. Hooked the kick a little bit, a long way really, but Bella Smith has saved it, taking the mark right on the boundary line in the shadows there in the right forward pocket. And this will be a much tougher kick. Bella Smith, one of the ins today, her second VFLW game of the season. Around she goes on that left boot, and she's hit the post about 3/4 of the way up, and you heard the groans across Victoria Park as Bella Smith cannoned that one into the goal post. Behind number 5 for the Magpies, 1 for Port Melbourne. So it's Collingwood who lead by 4 points as we close in on quarter time here at Victoria Park.
And the kick in from fullback comes to the broadcast side, half-back flank. Juggling it is Ricardo and takes the mark. Georgia Ricardo on the right boot, tries to square it up 35 metres out from goal. Sophie Locke with a late punch from behind. Di Matteo has a flying shot at goal. It's away to the left-hand side. Another minor score. Collingwood 6 behind. Port Melbourne 1 behind here on WARFradio.com. 89.1 FM at the ground, delay free, and on the VFLW YouTube channel. And here is Toby Hansen.
Well, they're 6 behind as Port Melbourne come out of that back pocket. Kate Dudley dominating in the ruck, 7 hit-outs. The next player closest to her has only got 2.
A reminder, this quarter will go a little bit more than the 20 minutes because of that stoppage we had while Chloe Locke was tended to. Kayla Peterson's kick out of the back line is cut off. Looks like Nick Hale's out there. I was going to say that's Monique DiMatteo second behind. Kick inside 50 will be coming back as the veteran Lisa Davey cuts it off. Comes across the face of goal to the first-year captain, co-captain Claire Diet, best and fairest winner last season. High left foot kick. Winbanks has to go from behind. Knocked it to ground cleverly. She had a teammate, Barton, I think it was, who fell completely in the back of the Collingwood player, and play on, said the umpire. Port Melbourne move it forward. Here comes Matzer. She'll leave it for Ebony Rowe. Ebony Rowe steps over the boundary line, and that will be that for what was a very hotly contested first quarter here at Victoria Park. We had a lot of girls coming off gassed. We had some girls coming off who were injured. And in the end, it's a first quarter that comes and goes without any goal kickers. Collingwood, well, they have 6 points. They've gone via the Cape, I think Rexy used to say. 6 behinds for Collingwood, 1 for Port Melbourne. And the margin at quarter time here is the Magpies by 5 points, Peter.
I'd like to give you goal kickers at quarter time, but we cannot. So it's behinds. But let's get some stats on who is racking up the disposals with Toby Hansen. Who's getting a case of leather poisoning early on?
We talked about how Caitlin Bunker had such a hot start to this game. She's at 8 now, so she's only picked up 3 disposals sort of in that last 10-minute period. She started really hot. Caitlin O'Keefe, she picked up 8 as well, actually. Nicole Hales in her 50th VFLW game for the Pies with 7. And a stack of players with 2 tackles each. I do have a goal for you, though, Pete, at Footscray.
Hey.
It's the Western Bulldogs, 1 straight 6. Hawthorns, no goals, 1. 5 minutes into that first term.
3 Bulldogs up, and you can watch that game. That is the AFL.com.au live stream game, and you can watch that via the AFL Live app if you download to your phone or tablet. And, of course, myself and Toby, along with Alan Matthews, will be on later today, again on YouTube and WARFradio.com at 3 o'clock when we bring you Darebin and Carlton at Icon Park. But as we take a break here at quarter time, it's Collingwood 6 behind, Port Melbourne 1 behind.
The commentary of the game you're currently listening to is from the volunteers at Women's Australian Rules Football Radio. Founded in 2014, WARF Radio is not just here to provide a professional call the women's game deserves, but also provide important experience for those wanting a career in sports media. If you're a past or present women's footballer or coach or a media student and you'd like to give football commentary a try, visit WARFradio.com and click on volunteer. That's WARFradio.com and click on volunteer.
Hi, I'm Natalie Armat from NITV. Sunday, March 27 is Neighbour Day, a national celebration of community. It brings together people from next door, the local community, and even online. It's a day that reminds us why having strong social connections is not only good for our own well-being, but also for the well-being of those around us. But the real strength is in knowing that Neighbour Day isn't just one day, it's every day. Find out how you can get involved at neighbourday.org.
Hey.
Hi.
Yo, what's up?
We're here for Rad. Here's a simple word of advice.
Don't drink and drive.
If you plan to drink, plan ahead.
Give up the keys.
Either drink or drive. Don't mess around trying to do both.
When you drink and drive, you're risking the life of yourself and the lives of everybody on the road.
It takes a lot of courage to convince a friend not to drive after they've been drinking, but you might just be saving their life.
So if you plan to drink, plan not to drive.
What do you listen to while you're waiting for the next VFLW game on Wharf Radio? Do you long for the days when radio stations played music that you knew without being constantly bombarded with ads and by announcers who want to make it about themselves and not about the music? Welcome to GoRadio.live. We're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, playing the very best music of the past 70 years. You can listen at www.goradio.live, or better still, download the free GoRadio.live app for your Apple or Android device. GoRadio.live. It's radio as it should be.
It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day.
Indeed, it is the VFL Women's Match of the Day here on WARFradio.com. Also at the ground, delay free 89.1 FM, or if you're just standing around the grandstand, we're probably loud enough that you can hear us. And you can also check us out on the VFLW YouTube channel, providing commentary to that stream for us. The VFLW YouTube channel always begins its broadcast about 15 minutes prior to the bounce down. Collingwood 6 behind, Port Melbourne 1 behind. Peter Holden, Brent Sternberg and Toby Hansen with you. I mean, if anything, despite that onslaught of inside 50s, Brent Sternberg for the Pies, Port Melbourne find themselves down by really just a straight kick.
Yeah, they didn't get bang for their buck, did they, the Magpies? Not perfect conditions for football, so I wouldn't say that is the scoring end in terms of, you know, a breeze blowing to that end, Toby. But I reckon Chloe might be having a chat to the girls at quarter time and saying, can we please lower our eyes? And when we get it inside forward 50, we've had a couple of times, particularly Monique DiMatteo, where we've had a lot more time than you've realised. So just chill out when we sort of get it inside 30.
Yeah, well, they look really good when they have lowered their eyes when they're going forward. Port Melbourne have been pretty good also to rebound that ball back out. One thing I think they've been caught out on, and I think potentially playing on a really big ground like Victoria Park, Collingwood are setting up their halfbacks 5 or 10 metres ahead of the Port Melbourne forwards, and that ball hasn't been able to spill out. So Port Melbourne haven't had a chance to get it forward. But, yeah, it's all been really one-way traffic. They
haven't looked too bad, Port Melbourne, in transition. The issue is they've only really been able to get it to sort of the middle of the ground, and then it's come unstuck. Inside 50s, you may not be surprised to learn, those that watched and listened to that opening quarter, 15-2 in that first term. So an absolute avalanche, really. But Port Melbourne, they are in the game. They're turning up the heat around the football, and they're only down by, somehow, 5 points at quarter time.
Not too far away from getting this second term underway. Don't forget, coming up at Victoria Park at 3:10 p.m. is the AFLW, Collingwood and Richmond. If you're in the area, come on down, $10 for a ticket. That is fantastic value. Kids under 16 free. And looks like we're almost ready to get underway and to restart the play. Here's Brent Sternberg.
Yeah, big afternoon, morning and afternoon of football coming up here at Victoria Park. Mentioned it in that first term. Collingwood going up against the Tigers. Collingwood at AFLW level later on today need to win to lock up a spot in the top 6. Otherwise, they'll watch nervously as Toby's Brisbane Lions take on the Bulldogs down in Ballarat tomorrow. Great kick forward there by Matza. She's hit up her teammate Matilda Zander, who was busy in that opening quarter. That kick's going to bypass the intended target. DiMatteo, Bramage onto it. Port Melbourne under the pump early. Sophie Lock over it, went to ground, knocked it through the legs of Bramage, and the umpire has paid a free kick for too high, I believe, and it is going to Sophie Lock, who will be revved up after she saw her sister Chloe come off the ground in that quarter. Nicely weighted kick, and Sabrina Navarro, one of the ins today, has taken the mark. Wanted to play on, gave the handball to Akayla Peterson, who was busy in that opening turn, playing across half-back. She's run a long way, Akayla. Too far, said the umpire. Boy, that's a rare call. You don't see that one paid very often, but I reckon it's correct, Toby.
Yeah, I think so. As Collingwood look to transition to this forward line. They're all bunched together, creating a bit of confusion for the Port Melbourne defenders. That's it, at a high full forward.
Chaston now gets on the right, but immediately smothered off the boot there by Peterson.
Redemption.
Maybe as Bowie got pushed off the ball at the crucial moment. Getting in there is Navarro. She gets put into the ground. The umpire says no for opportunity. But yes, interesting to see that they pulled out the too far, because I think they might have pointed out in the tape last week there was a player from Williamstown who ran out from fullback a good 25 metres, and it's like, umpire, maybe you might want to measure that one. There's Hallett, who did the roving work, went with a hand pass over the top after being under pressure from Sophie Locke, was trying to find Chaston, seeing it over the boundary line and out of bounds is Lisa Davies. So we'll have a throw in 40 metres around from the right-hand point post. Collingwood 6 behind, Port Melbourne 1 behind.
It was actually great stuff by those Collingwood players that they didn't allow Akayla Peterson actually any time or space to bounce the football. And by the time she broke clear and got the kick away, the damage had been done and she'd run too far. Collingwood into attack. Both Kate Dudley and Grace Matza miffed it. Bramage in there, low and tough as she always is. Nobody had more tackles in the VFLW than Courtney Bramage last season. She might win her own football here, although Bowie coming across the other way. She couldn't pick it up. Here's Peterson, who ran out of bounds just outside 50, and it's a chance for everybody who's sitting in the Sharon stand to see some football, because they didn't see much of it in that first quarter. A ball in about 50 around, or exactly 50 around. The boundary umpire standing on the paint of the 50. Dudley and Matza again. Hallett almost roved the Dudley tap. She goes back in to tackle two players, an opponent and a teammate. And she's been rewarded, Demi Hallett, for holding the ball. Courtney Bramage being penalised, and Demi Hallett is not really sure what's happening here. It's your kick, Demi. 22 tackles last week. We might be on tackle watch today as well, I reckon, Toby. We'll keep an eye out, see how many tackles Demi Hallett gets. Kick inside forward 50, just over the head of Barnett. Ball comes to the ground. Chaston, can she get it out to Barnett? She's waiting for it. Good work in there by Davey. Barnett jumped on her. Lisa Davey pretty keen not to see it out. We'll get a ball up. Collingwood deep into attack. Ball up will come from about 20 out, Toby.
Plus 40 tackles for Demi Hallett in their last 3 VFLW games. Yikes. So it wasn't just a one-off last week with that 22. She's got points on the board.
Dudley did the roving work. Quick little hand pass out the side by Xander, close towards the boundary line. Sophie Locke was there, singing over Caitlin Bunker, and the umpire says we'll throw the football back in. 25 metres around from the right-hand point post for the Pies, attacking towards the Sharon stand end.
And while we're talking about, Peter, Demi Hallett, second season at Collingwood, has not missed a game. Only player to play in every game for the Magpies last season. The Maggies deep in attack here. That's Hallett again over the football. Much easier to pick out this season, Demi Hallett with the bright blue hair.
The Sonic the Hedgehog look, I'm calling it.
Well, how disappointing for her. She likely would have been, Geelong would have had something to say about it, but a premiership player and the only player to play every game. Here's Bowie. Bundled out of it by Katie O'Keefe, who had more disposals than anybody else in that opening quarter. Hack forward there by Bramage. Ricardo knocked it away. Ricardo will run on to the football. Collingwood have it at midfield. Handball here to Hales. Handball will come back to Katie Lee, who left it go. Now Hales has to go back to mop up the own mess. She's done the same thing. Now it's Harley. Handball to Stella Reid. Open forward 50 for Port Melbourne. Katie Lee, the veteran, getting back there. In pursuit now, it's Beth Wilson. Handball from Lee to Hales. Hales, high one down the line. Bunker and Bramage, neither could get it. The captain for the Pies will take it outside the field of play. Bramage cannons her to the ground. We've got an upset puppy somewhere around the place. Picking it up in your effects, Mike. Someone feed that dog.
The place has gone to the dogs.
Here's a ball in between wing and half forward for Port Melbourne.
And we'll throw it in around about 60 metres out from goal. Umpire will arch the back and throw the ball back into play. Spinning back in right on the edge of the centre square. Virtually taken in the lap, though, of Bridie Wimbanks, who almost brought down Rain with a kick, and we'll see it intercepted. Pies ball off the half-back flank. Swing around on the right boot. Addie Lee going up the line, looking for Grace Matza. Finds her, taking the mark in front of Wimbanks. Matza now on the left boot, going up the line, over the head of Barnett. Chaston at the back has to pick it up off the carpet. Hand passes to Barnett, not much happening inside 50s. It's smothered immediately off the boot by Kaylee Ryan, close towards the boundary line. Di Matteo picks it up, kicks around the corner.
Out.
Here comes Dojok. She's chasing after it, getting in front there is Hootsma. Dojok comes in again, tackles her. Nike Dojok is the hand pass off. Coming in there is Bartonelli, the tackle for Port Melbourne. And the umpire says no prior opportunity. We'll call for a ball up deep inside the Collingwood forward line and get some quick thoughts from Toby Hansen.
Quick transition from Collingwood. The way they're set up behind the ball going forward, they had players right back down to the goal square, essentially. Whereas Port Melbourne, when it was at the moment now, you've got every player in this quadrant between the broadcast side wing and then this half of the field. Collingwood transitioning so much quicker just because of the way they're set up, I think.
Well, Port Melbourne did well to get it inside 50 a moment ago, but they didn't have anything happening inside forward 50 because they haven't had it there for so long. Collingwood, like you say, Toby, swift movement back into attack. Bella Smith taken the ground by Claire Dyatt, the captain trying to lift her team in this second quarter, in which we've played nearly 7 minutes, still awaiting our first goal kicker. Collingwood 6 behind, Port Melbourne 1. There is O'Keefe, who blasts one towards the broadcast wing. Matza and Wilson. Matza did enough. She wanted to see that one out, and the umpire will ball it in. And Grace Matza from the Casey Demons. 4 games for the Demons last season. Nicknamed Stretch by her teammates at the Gippsland Power. Been a good pickup for the Pies and very important as well, with Sarah King out with that hand injury still. Couldn't quite win that tap out. Could Matza, but O'Keefe again. Kick forward, Harley in front. That's a fantastic mark. Neve O'Connor from behind just could not get her fist to the football. And here's a chance for Port Melbourne to set up with finally a mark from the back 50. That's an aggressive kick from Harley. Katie Lee come across and got her fist to it. Chance now for the Borough. Handball come to Dyatt. Dyatt lowered the eyes brilliantly, but Shaw dropped the mark. Crunched by O'Day. And the Victoria Park home crowd appreciate it. And Ebony O'Day loves that sort of stuff. And we'll get a ball up centre half forward. Port Melbourne looking to go inside 50 and catch Collingwood on the nap.
As it's one out in the end by the Borough, but Hallett gets the resulting possession. Hand pass over the top to Marlon Eel and kicks up the line. Great, well-weighted kick. Receiving it there is Monique Di Matteo, looking for Imogen Barnett. It was just out of her reach, out of her fingertips. McWeeny maybe help without it. Matilda Zander comes in. Hits the woodwork.
Boy, that deserved a goal.
Hello, Wilbur. Wilbur post. And Collingwood go to 7 behind. Port Melbourne 1 behind. Here in our VFLW match of the day, we get some thoughts again from match analyst and Toby Hansen.
Second poster for the day, but just the way the Collingwood have set up behind the ball again. They've just got numbers behind the ball. They know where they're going. They know where they're going to link up. Port Melbourne, that's one of the reasons why they couldn't get it into their forward 50 in that last run of play.
That was thrilling football from the Magpies. Here's Beth Wilson at right half back, looking in the Katie O'Keefe direction. Couldn't find her, and we get a ball up on the outer side. Football hasn't been on that outer side too much through this first half. Collingwood 7 behind, Port Melbourne 1. And still we wait. I mentioned Beth Wilson a moment ago. She kicked a big goal, you'll remember, Toby, in the last quarter for Port Melbourne last week, just when Carlton were coming with a real rush. Knocked forward there by Port Melbourne. Marla Neal is onto it. Running away from Navarro. Kick into the middle of the ground. That'll work out okay. Ebony Rowe got a nice bounce. Spears one to half forward. Too much heat on it for Chaston. Beaten by the bounce there was Jessica Joyce, and Chaston will go a second time. Feigned to give the handball and turned on to the left, high up and under. Barnett worked her way brilliantly to the football. Tracked that one in flight so well. And Imogen Barnett, who had 2 looks at the sticks in that first quarter, will get another one here.
Ebony Rowe was down behind play as Port Melbourne tried to transition out of their half-back. A player left her thinking she's injured. The physio's coming on. She got back up and has set up that goal for the Pies.
Imogen Barnett to the Sharon stand end of the ground. Bit tougher than a 45-degree angle, maybe 35 out. Barnett sets sail and it's on its way. It's actually hit the behind post, I think, in the end, and out of bounds on the full. And still we wait. Port Melbourne to bring it back in the right back pocket. They've done well hitting the sticks, Collingwood, but can't get it through the 2 big ones, and that's the name of the game, Peter.
Olivia Barton to bring the ball back into play. City side of the ground. Goes long towards the half-back flank. Imogen Barnett stood tall. And took a great mark, 52 metres out from goal. Was asking if she was being interfered with to see if she could milk the 50. The umpire said no. Barnett now swings around, puts boot to ball 55 metres out from goal, puts it long. Did it got out the back to Monique Di Matteo, who misses. Minor score, and I think it may have been clipped the woodwork on the way through. Yes, according to the umpire.
Of course.
8 behind Collingwood. Port Melbourne 1 behind here on WARFradio.com.
Third behind from Di Matteo. Around the grounds just quickly. Quarter time at Footscray 1 straight 6 is the Bulldogs. Hawthorn 4-2-26.
Ouch.
Port Melbourne comes short from the kick in. Here's the Kayla Peterson. Hemmed in here, Port Melbourne. How can they get out? Oh, she's looking to get off and run. Reaching for her, Xander. And the umpire says, I'm not going to give you the sanctuary of the boundary line. It's holding the football. Matilda Xander, who's had a powerhouse second quarter. This will be disposal number 10. She is the equal leading disposal getter on the ground. She'll go outright number 1 here with this kick, which will, I would think, go right to the goal square. Well, she's actually, well, she is. She'll pop it up to the square. No, she won't. The wind's going to take that one through. For another behind, is that 8 behinds now? 9 behinds for the Maggies. Port Melbourne just the 1. They're getting plenty of practice kicking it in, Port Melbourne.
As we wait for the ball to be brought back into play, Barton will go for a run. In fact, it's not Barton, in fact, it's Davey. And Davey will go out towards the half-back flank. Trying to cut it off there as Marlon Neal did well. Fed out the hand pass, but the tackle laid on by Kate Adams.
Well done, Adams.
And the umpire says no opportunity. And I will call for a ball up on the paint. 50 metres out from the Collingwood goal, going to the Sharon stand end. Going to the Yarra River end is Port Melbourne, which is left of screen. As they throw the football high in the air. O'Connor, beaten out by Winbanks. Came to ground. Maybe tackled without it is Diet. Umpire said no, it was fair. She had it momentarily. Hallett immediately wrapped up by Adams. And the umpire blows the whistle and says, I'll restart the play. 50 metres out from goal. Don't forget, coming up at Victoria Park at 3:10 p.m. if you're in the area, you've got the AFLW with Collingwood and Richmond as Diet gets harassed by Neal. Got it across to Adams. Immediately caught by O'Connor. I was going to say by O'Connor, but it was in fact Colburn Veal who put it into the ground. The umpire said it was actually a sling, and that means it's a free kick going to Adams, who just readjusts her hair, and will take that resulting free kick off the half-back flank.
Port Melbourne at right half-back. What can they do, Toby, to get out of this press? Oh, that's not going to help. Here comes Chaston. Off the deck goes, I think that was Davey. Found Barton. Port Melbourne living dangerously. They'll get out. Adams turns it over, though. Bramage closing. Not quickly enough. And here is Caitlin Bunker. I do want an answer from you, Toby, but just to use these extra moments to have a think. As Collingwood go back inside 50 of those, Jacques. Barnett. Oh, look out the back. Xander's kicked the goal. At long last, she's been the one that Port Melbourne have struggled with in this second quarter. And she couldn't miss from there. Right from the goal square. Everybody else has been missing, but not Tilly Xander and Collingwood. Finally, Toby, they're on the board.
Well, finally, someone's on the board at least, Brett. But, yeah, Matilda Xander, she's having an unbelievable morning. 11 disposals, 1 goal, 3. That could easily have been potentially,
a lot more than
4 goals. Sorry, yeah, I was trying to do my maths quickly. But yeah, it's been a great morning for her. The Pies finally get on the board. This lead is stretched out a little bit. Back to your earlier question, what do Port Melbourne do? Well, Collingwood are just so strong off this half-back line. And they were strong against Williamstown. They were right against the Southern Saints as well. So it's going to be hard to pierce that really strong half-back. And then as soon as you get deep back as well.
Thank you very much, Toby, for those maths. The Victorian education system working marvellously as the ball is in the middle of the ground. It's now going to be a Borough ball. They'll come out of the middle with a long right boot kick towards centre half forward. Awkward bouncing ball. Emin read it best, though. She trapped it. It's the Emin cheer squad in front of us. Don't worry about that. They kick the ball up towards the centre wing position. Numbers there for the Borough. Who's got bumped off it at the crucial moment. Tackle coming over the top. The umpire said it was fair. And, oh, jeez. Tell you what, not happy at all is Bridie Winback. She threw away the ball with disgust. And there's Monique Di Matteo at the bottom of that pack. As they'll throw the ball up in the air. Centre wing in front of our broadcast position. Winbanks wins it against O'Connor. Bowie, though, picks it up for the Pies. Kicks one up the line. 1-2 bounces very close towards the boundary line. Monique Di Matteo manages to keep it in. Being wrapped up immediately and going nowhere, Madison Shaw. And the umpire says, I'll ask for the footy back. Tackle laid on there by Caitlin Bunker.
When I asked you a few moments ago, Toby, about how Port Melbourne get out, I assumed your answer was not going to be let Collingwood kick a goal so the umpires can take it back to the middle of the ground.
I wouldn't have thought so. But, yeah, the way Port Melbourne is set up here, everyone's on this wing pretty much, except for one contest down in that forward pocket for Collingwood.
Bunker's going to take that one back out. So it is Collingwood 1 goal 9-15. Port Melbourne just the one behind. The Pies lead by 14 points. Closing in on 4 minutes to play until half-time. A first half that has really, in terms of territory, been dominated by the Maggies, but not on the scoreboard. Oof, gee, look at the wind, or not really the wind. I think that was just a bit of a crooked boundary throw-in. And the umpires paid a free kick here for too high. Grace Matza to take the kick. Kate Dudley stands the mark right on centre wing. Matza wobbles a left foot kick inside 50. Great mark in front, judged it well. Sophie Locke had the measure of Ebony O'Day. Kick to the outer side's pretty darn good as well. And Kayla Peterson playing across half back has had a good opening half for the Borough. Kick to the outer side. Here's Barton just backward of centre wing. That's a good kick too. Hootsman's going to be held up here. No, she's going to play on. Xander closing, won't get there. Hootsman wobbles one to half forward. Stella Reid couldn't mark it. It come off the fist of Ricardo, who then almost dived towards the boundary line and then kept it in. Handball to Olivia Storer. Sends a wobbly old one towards Xander, who couldn't get it and then took the Port Melbourne player high. And they'll have a free kick right by the boundary on the outer side. It is Olivia Barton to step up and take the kick.
Barton elects to give it off. One-step kick up the line by Peterson towards centre half forward.
Sophie
strong
again.
hands. Sophie Locke with a red ribbon in the hair. Gets on the right boot, sets it up towards the dangerous hot spot at 30 metres out from goal. Pies defender and Katie Lee comes out to meet it. Chain of handballs gets to Bunker. Bunker dribbles one inside the centre square, but it's taken back by Peterson. Peterson 50 metres out from goal. Sets it to an empty goal square. Bouncing football will jackknife away to the left-hand side. Molly Eman went without it. Then got harassed, so she had to get the hand pass away while under pressure. One bounce over the boundary line and out of bounds. And it just went by a bee's diaphragm outside the 50, which means Lasso. Free kick going the way of Port Melbourne, taken away by Caitlin O'Keefe, who tries to square it up to Akalia Peterson. Went through heavy traffic and said, "Excuse me, don't you know who I am? This ball is mine."
Well, they were desperately unlucky, Toby, with the ball. It went outside the 50 by about a foot. Great kick from Katie O'Keefe and a fantastic mark of Kayla Peterson.
Peterson will be lining up and putting boot to ball at 42.5 metres out on a slide angle. Looking for Port Melbourne's first goal of the morning. Gets on the right, gives it a ride. Will it get the distance? Yep. I think it's there.
Oh,
it's good. Goal for the Borough.
Floodgates.
Peterson gets her first, and Port Melbourne go to 1-1-7. They'll trail Collingwood 1-9-15, and your match analyst for today is Toby Hansen.
Well, Port Melbourne, they almost had a goal at the start of that play, but wasn't for a big turning leg break that ended up being the lasso from that next kick. But what a monstrous kick. He said about 40 metres away from home. It just sailed, and down towards that river end. Port Melbourne are suddenly back in it by 8 points.
Good question quickly raised on our YouTube chat by Kev Magpies, who says he doesn't mind if the competition got moved to winter when we talked about the AFLW, but he asked the question, if it's 2 seasons in the year, do you have to pay for another AFLW membership?
That's a good question. Here come the Maggies. Oh, Marla Neal going the wrong way. You're not going to that end, Marla. She finally woke up to it. Here's Emmond, and the cheer squad goes wild. Kick towards the centre wing. Dudley in front, couldn't take the mark. Both teams lifting. Handball out from DiMatteo just behind Bowie, who had to back up. Matza's going to have to go a long way down. She did. Great tackle. Claire Dyatt should be rewarded and will be. Port Melbourne lifting, and the captain at the forefront, Claire Dyatt, will step up to take the kick just backward of the wing. Closing in on half-time. And Claire Dyatt's going to retreat and come back here to Lisa Davey as the call comes from the bench. 1 minute to play. And they might shut things down here, Port Melbourne, and they'll take this... what is it? It's an 8-point margin into half-time. Dyatt again, right on the boundary line. This has been a good fight back from the Borough. Dyatt, high ball down the wing. Dudley went for it, couldn't take the mark. Navarro couldn't get it. Bramage did. Fantastic tackle in there by the helmeted Marla Neal. Let's get a ball up centre wing.
I think I've got a name for Molly's supporters in front of us. We should be calling it Molly's Mafia. And you don't mess with the godmother. As the siren sounds for half-time here at Victoria Park. We've got a game.
Yes.
We have got a contest, courtesy of a late goal from Michaelia Peterson. Port Melbourne 1-1-7, trail an inaccurate Collingwood 1-9-15. Collingwood's goal coming from Matilda Sander. Let's get some thoughts on that second quarter from our match analyst in Toby Hansen.
Well, what a bizarre game we have with this, PT. It's been one-way traffic for almost all morning, but Port Melbourne, they set themselves only eight points behind the Collingwood Magpies. But Kelly Peterson, she was the one that Sean Mungle told us pre-game, watch out for, watch what she can do. She won Carlton's 2021 BNF, and she absolutely roosted that kick from about 40 metres out to get Port Melbourne back into this contest. I think heads should be held high that Port Melbourne patched that last 5 or so minutes, if they can translate that into the second half.
Were Collingwood perhaps a little lucky for the siren going there? You just kind of felt there was just that small window where there was the momentum had sharply swung Port Melbourne's way.
100%, Todd, 100%.
I think so, and also the wind down that Sharon stand end, because it swirls around, you don't want to be kicking too many footballs between the big sticks down there because you don't know where it's going to go. So I think Collingwood, they would have been more than happy to hear that hooter.
They've left the door ajar, haven't they, the Pies, and they head into the sheds at half time looking over their shoulders.
Indeed, they have got a fight in their hands. They had a fight last week against Hawthorn, which they went down, and now they've got a fight against Port Melbourne, who came off a fight of their own against Carlton. So you've just got a feeling you've got two sides. They're going to scrap it out to the very end in this second half coming up.
4 points up for grabs. Here we go.
Let's get some around the ground scores, because we can tell you there is another game happening at the moment. It is being shown live on afl.com.au, and you can also watch it via the AFL Live app or go via the VFL app and click on the game. That is between the Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn out there at Whitten Oval. And we can tell you it's Hawthorn 5-4-34, leading the Bulldogs just one goal. 6 minutes into the second term. For the Hawks, 2 goals each to Stratton and Zaghetti, 1 to Carbone and Sandrell, the only goal kicker so far for the Bulldogs. And out of that game, 10 disposals each for Tamara Luke of Hawthorn and Schneider of the Bulldogs. Also, Bridget Deed has got 8 touches. She, of course, is the first ever AFLW signing for the Hawks.
She kicked the goal was here last week against Collingwood, I think, Bridget. A fantastic left foot kick on the run. You can see why they've picked up her.
And she is wearing the Meg Hutchins 25. Big shoes to fill.
Well, they wouldn't have just thrown out that number lightly, would they? I think she's going to look very good in the brown and gold next season.
We might take this opportunity to take a break here at half-time at Victoria Park in Abbotsford. It's Collingwood 1-9-15, leading Port Melbourne 1-1-7. We'll be back right after this.
If you're after the most comprehensive coverage on women's football across Australia, then look no further than Rookie Me Central. Formerly Draft Central, Rookie Me Central has news and reviews, podcasts, videos, and much, much more on all the state leagues across the country, including the VFL Women's and NAB League Girls. Find out why everyone turns to Rookie Me Central for their women's football content. Follow Rookie Me Central on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rookie Me Central.
Secure transmission for your ears only.
Good day. Today, more than 110,000 Australians live with a blood cancer. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join the Leukemia Foundation and a crack team of registered shavers from around the country to kick blood cancer's tush. We call it Mission Possible. Sign up to shave at worldsgreatestshave.com. This ad will now self-destruct.
If you've had something stolen,
or if you've had property damaged, you need the police, not the sirens.
If you've lost something or found something valuable,
or if you want to register a party or let us know you're going away on holiday, you need the police, not the sirens.
When you need the police, but not the sirens, you can now report these incidents online at police.vic.gov.au or call 131 444.
Authorised by the Victorian Government, Melbourne.
You need to get a booster to stay up to date with your COVID-19 vaccinations. Boosters are now approved for everyone 16 years and older, 3 months after your second dose. Boosters increase your protection against becoming very sick or dying from COVID-19 and are available through your GP, pharmacist or other healthcare professional. Book your booster at australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
G'day, I'm Michael Caton. The Australian Conservation Foundation's Green Home program is all about saving our environment. A low-flow shower head will save 10 litres. No showering at all will save 20. So when any of my active friends are a bit on the nose, I never judge them, but thank them for doing their bit to save water.
For more information, go to www.acfonline.org.au/greenhome and take action for our future generations. That's acfonline.org.au/greenhome.
Hi, Kirk Pengilly from InXS here. And whether it's music, sweet things, puppies, movies, we all love our treats. But our eyes need treating too. 300,000 Australians, including me, are affected by glaucoma. Diagnosed early, glaucoma can be managed. Left undiagnosed, it can cause blindness. So treat yourself by treating your eyes to a simple test. Book your test at treatyoureyes.org.au today.
Bored in retirement? Join Probus. If you want more out of retirement, join your local Probus club and start having fun with like-minded people. Probus clubs are non-fundraising and purely social, so all they do is concentrate on enjoying retirement. There are hundreds of Probus clubs, with new ones opening almost every month. So find a Probus club near you today by visiting probussouthpacific.org or calling 1300 630 488.
Probus, new lease of life.
The average person spends 44 minutes a day thinking about food. At Oz Harvest, thinking about food is a full-time job because we're always looking for new ways to nourish our country and combat food waste and hunger. Every day, we rescue quality surplus food across Australia and deliver it to those who'd otherwise go hungry. And you can help. Every dollar donated to Oz Harvest can provide 2 meals to people in need. Visit ozharvest.org. Thought for food.
We'd like to show you what's dangerous about Australian rivers, but we can't. You can't see ice-cold water, snags like tree branches or strong currents, but they can be lethal. Although our rivers are beautiful, more Australians drown here than anywhere else. So please, wear a life jacket, avoid alcohol around water, never swim alone, and learn how to save a life. It's simple. Respect the river. For more information, visit royallifesaving.com.au/respect the river.
There's jumpers, hoodies, and tees for you at leaguetees.com.au.
Leaguetees.com.au is your place for retro footy gear with designs created by local artists that you won't find anywhere else. Plus, their unique range of women's footy tees help raise funds for Indigenous literacy programs. Get online and start shopping today.
leaguetees.com.au.
Oh, hi, I'm Maria from Sesame Street.
And Elmo's Elmo.
And we're here to talk about driveways. Driveways can be dangerous for children.
Or little red monsters.
So it's important for parents to always watch their children around them.
Yeah, driveways are for cars, not for planes.
That's right, Elmo. Play only in safe places away from driveways because people in cars may not see you.
Elmo sees you, Maria. Tag, you're it.
Oh, here I come, Elmo. Remember, driveways are like roads. Always supervise, separate, and see. Learn more at kidsafevic.com.au.
We are the Australian Literacy and Numeracy Foundation, striving to empower our most marginalised communities through literacy and education. Literacy is having a voice. Literacy is opportunity. Literacy is dreaming big. Literacy is freedom. Today, you can help end inequality and give every child access to our life-changing and proven literacy programs. Your support is vital. Donate now at alnf.org.
Feeling a little down? Drop into the Reach Out website at reachout.com.au and let us put a spring back in your step. When times are tough, clear your head at reachout.com.au.
The commentary of the game you're currently listening to is from the volunteers at Women's Australian Rules Football Radio. Founded in 2014, WARF Radio is not just here to provide a professional call the women's game deserves, but also provide important experience for those wanting a career in sports media. If you're a past or present women's footballer or coach or a media student and you'd like to give football commentary a try, visit warfradio.com and click on volunteer. That's warfradio.com and click on volunteer.
It's women's Aussie rules. They're doing what they love. They're fast, they're tough. Don't mess with them because they can get rough. Are you ready for the challenge? Are you ready for the match?
And welcome back to the VFL Women's Match of the Day here on WARFradio.com and 89.1 FM at the ground, delay-free, and on the VFLW YouTube channel. You've got Peter Holden, Brent Sternberg and Toby Hanson with you at Victoria Park in Abbotsford, where Collingwood 1-9-15 lead Port Melbourne 1-1-7. There's another game going on at this very moment. It's being played at Whitten Oval. That game you can watch via the AFL Live app, the VFL app, and afl.com.au. That's between the Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn. And at this stage in the match, as the screen just shows up for me, 15 minutes of the second quarter, Hawthorn 7-6-48. The Bulldogs 1 straight 6. This, gentleman, is being a very, very long year for the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, they got off to that flying start in this game I called earlier, that they kicked a goal within the first couple of minutes, and Hawthorn seemed to have just trampled them.
Goal kickers for the Hawks, 2 each to Stratton and Zagetti. Barulson has got a goal, Carbone and Shannon. Sandra, the only goal kicker there for the Western Bulldogs. And just quickly on the stats, Tamara Luke leading with 11 disposals. Schneider with 10 there for the Doggies. And Bridget Deed has got 9 touches along with Dom Carbone, who could be, maybe, the next signing for the Hawks in the AFLW. Northern Territory player. He's been around for a while.
Going to be interesting to watch with all the new teams coming in, all the signings. There was a very big one during the week for the Bombers, which we touched on briefly in the pre-game. Probably the best player outside of the AFLW getting a go in the AFLW. I can't get my head around that, but a great get for the Bombers with Georgia Nanscorn.
I'll be talking about it more on our pre-game show tomorrow when at 10 a.m. we're at the Hangar to bring you Essendon and the Southern Saints. But out of that one, it's interesting to note that I think 2 out of the last 3 drafts Georgia actually didn't nominate. So that's why when you're thinking, why hasn't any club picked her up? She just simply didn't put her hand up. Didn't the first year after being dropped by or delisted by North. And then last year when I was kind of championing her on social media saying, some club's got to pick her up. And then she kind of sent a message saying, actually, no, I haven't thrown my hand up. I'm very happy with things at Bomberland. And they've rewarded her with contract number 1.
I didn't actually realise that she hadn't nominated, but great get for the Bombers. I know that you guys spoke a few weeks ago about who the first get for the Dons might be. It could only be Georgie, couldn't it? I mean, she's been fantastic for that football club as they've sort of built, and preparing themselves for the big league. And now she'll lead from the front. You would expect that she'll be a captain, I would think, and that'll be great. Yeah. For Essendon fans. I think it'll be a sight for sore eyes seeing them run out for the first time with the captain with the famous number 5 on the back, Peter.
We all wait now for Sydney Swan signing number 1, which will now intensify that the GWS season is now officially over after they beat Geelong on Friday Night Football. And of course, Port Adelaide, perhaps they are waiting for Adelaide's season to be done before they announce their number 1 signing.
What are you suggesting there,
Aaron
Peter?
Phillips. Aaron Phillips.
Well, in terms of Sydney, I saw our good friend Alex Doherty. He mentioned last night one of the Giants players. I can't remember who he said, but he said, I look forward to them being unveiled as Sydney's first.
Elise Parker, probably?
Yeah, that might. I'm having a memory loss, I'm afraid, but good win for the Giants, wasn't it, last night? But yeah, I can't wait to see all the girls get given a go, and obviously the Bombers are up and going. So Georgia Nanscorn leading from the front next year, playing under the tutelage of Daisy Pearce.
No. But I can reveal one thing that me and Toby will be talking about when we talk about sides moving their players around, etc.
Yep.
Will be part of our pre-game show from 3 p.m. today at Icon Park on WARFradio.com when we do Carlton and Darebin. We'll be talking about the Carlton list and what do you do, considering obviously based upon the questions if the likes of Press Parkers and Egan stay, if they don't go, then okay, what do you do? Or on the opposite thing, if you lose Press Parkers and Egan and 1 or 2 other A graders at Carlton, then what do you do with the list? So that'll be a big debate on what Carlton need to do going forward. And it also technically affects other clubs as well if you lose your better players to the expansion clubs. And if you're a team that's kind of outside of the finals, do you get crafty in the draft and with your trades, or do you just go blow it all up and just go with the youth and look at the long-term rebuild.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what road the Blues go down, Toby.
It was Jess Doyle, Doherty was talking about.
Yes. Yeah, she was good last night. Popped up out of nowhere and kicked a couple of goals.
And then, obviously, the ultimate spanner in the works is if we do this season when we start again in August, with so many players going to be out with long-term injuries that will not be available to come back, you've got that extended list. Oh, Molly's Mafia very happy, and Neil as well.
Molly Mania down there. Oh.
I tell you, brother, when Molly Mania runs wild over you. We're just about ready to get underway here with the third term at Victoria Park in Abbotsford. To get us underway, here is Brent Sternberg.
It was Collingwood in the first half, 25 inside 50s for just the one goal 3 in that second quarter. Port Melbourne, just the one goal that they got late on there in quarter number 2 at Kayla Peterson, former Carlton player.
I don't think the timekeeper knows what to do. When the umpire holds the ball up, that's when you blow the siren. That's usually a good sign.
So let's go, if we could, please, for quarter number 2. It was Grace Matzer and Winbanks in the ruck. Not going anywhere. Hallett in there. Sophie Locke's gone on ball as well. Had a terrific first half, did Sophie Locke. I don't think we're going to be seeing her younger sister Chloe Locke either play any further part. Ebony O'Day got her first disposal in there, the only Collingwood player not to touch it. Kick outside to the far wing, and a great win there by Chaston on the wing. Deep inside 50, in there was Bella Smith, couldn't take the mark, wrapping up Barton, ball spilt free. Port Melbourne under the pump early on, it's come out through Adams, who torpedoes one back to the middle of the ground. Sophie Locke beaten by the bounce, coming the other way, Hales. Handballs just missed her intended target, ball on the deck, she was looking for Colborne Veal. There's Jessica Joyce on the outside of the boot. Ball up for grabs on the outer wing. Bramage in there. Can she get boot to ball? Yes, she did. Bouncing ball comes up here. Winning the footy was O'Connor. End over end kick. Chaston taken off it by her opponent. Coming through, that was Di Matteo, I believe. Kick towards half forward and finds Bella Smith, who read that one in flight beautifully. And an early chance here for Collingwood, who could not kick a goal or buy a goal in the opening half. Bella Smith from right in front. We'll have a look. I reckon they might have had a chat in the sheds at half-time. Chloe McMillan saying, for Christ's sake, see those big sticks? Just kick the football through them. Don't hit the sticks. Don't go round the sticks. Through the sticks. And Bella Smith puts it through the sticks, and that's a good start for the Magpies. Took them a long, long time in the opening half to find their first goal. They've got the breakthrough here inside the opening 90 seconds, and Collingwood lead by 14 points.
I think she took your advice there to kick it through the big 6. It was an excellent. That must be the scoring end down there at the river end of the ground. Bella Smith, she's had an interesting game. She had a couple chances on goal, hasn't been able to convert. Finally gets it off the back. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Collingwood setting up off that half back. I think it's Hales down there, the general down back, just easily able to rebound it back into that 50 like a slingshot to that forward 50. Picked out Bella Smith perfectly. And the Pies, that lead extends.
2-9-21 Collingwood, 1-1-7 Port Melbourne. We're underway again in the middle of the ground. Locke immediately got it. Had to give the don't argue. Gave the hand pass off. Not really too much advantage there. Trying to get in there was Jessica Joyce. Tried to fire out a hand pass. Hallett got in there. Umpire said there's a holding infringement going on, and it will be a Port Melbourne ball. So they'll have it just to the side of the centre circles. Umpire will give them the hurry up. On the right boot, going long up the line, inside 50. Was trying to find Beth Wilson. Ball got away from her. Might have to go back in for a second crack at it. Ebony O'Day was lurking nearby. Katie Lee as well. They just kept the ball alive. O'Day being harassed by Wilson. O'Day all wrapped up by Peterson. And the ball will go over the boundary line and out of play. Or was it a ball up? It's very close to the boundary line. No, it will be, in fact, a ball up. Right up against the boundary line as they throw in the air. Neve O'Connor looks almost for the safety of the boundary line. Ball won't go out. Went through almost the legs there of Navarro. Now a quick snap on goal for the Borough.
Great play.
How does that look? That looks pretty good. And the Borough respond back.
We'll have a look on the scoreboard. I think it might have been Jessica Joyce that kicked that goal.
Indeed it was.
Yep. Good response from the Borough, Toby. And guess who's coming onto the ground? It's Molly Mania in full force.
Port Melbourne responding very quickly.
Yes.
I sense potentially the ground's dried up a bit. That's why we're seeing this free-flowing game going. not as scrubby, but Akela Peterson, that run of play, she's run from the broadcast side wing to make it all the way across to that far forward pocket, and has helped her team get another major on the board. Port Melbourne reply instantly.
It was great stuff from that stoppage as well in the pocket. It was Caitlin O'Keefe on hands and knees that got the handball out. Jessica Joyce pounced on it, snaps a goal, and we're back to the half-time margin of 8 points. Matza won it down and then won the centre clearance. Kick into half forward. Great mark in front taken by Monique DiMatteo, and this game has really opened up early on in quarter number 3. DiMatteo, who had 3 behinds in that quarter. Smith playing from behind, had to get a fist to it. It'll come back to Marla Neal. Neal just got boot to ball, back towards the top of the goal square. Pack goes up, ball comes down, no mark. Dojock goes in there hard and low. I think that's Olivia Barton underneath all of that for Port Melbourne. And Collingwood will get a ball up in the pocket. Just quickly, the goal kickers for the Pies. Bella Smith and Matilda Zander, and for Port Melbourne, Jessica Joyce and Akela Peterson.
As, just miscuing the kick there is Peterson. Bunker goes in there, tries to fire a hand pass out, got immediately smothered. Peterson overran the ball, picked up by Sophie Locke. Dangerous kick. Molly Emmon puts a fist in there. Coming through is Courtney Bramage. Bramage fade to Gray. Get the hand pass over the top line. Stella Reid. Got it back to Bramage. Bramage going very close towards the boundary line, trying to find Wilson. Wilson kept the ball in front of herself. Had,
what a handball.
Hales coming at her. Went with a hand pass over the top. It was magnificent to Diet. Claire Diet's a long kick up the line, 2-on-1, numbers favouring the Pies. Katie Lee immediately caught from behind, got rid of it, play on according to the umpire. Wilson maybe taken high, no, play on. In goes Hales, goes with a hand pass back to Katie Lee, who put it up the line. It's a high pie floater, and it's punched over the boundary line and out of bounds by Kate Adams. And where's she from, boys? The Adams family. Da-da-da-da.
Great spoil from behind. We've got a good contest here at Victoria Park. Round 5, Saturday morning. A sun-drenched Victoria Park, both teams lifting. And the margin is 8 points. Port Melbourne with a Jessica Joyce answer to the Bella Smith goal in the opening moments of quarter number 3. There's Ebony O'Day, who's penalised for another sling tackle. I think they might have had a little discussion last night about paying that, the umpires. Free kick centre wing, Port Melbourne. Little dinky kick towards half forward. Good spoil there from Ebony Rowe. And that was a kick that come from Maddie Shaw. We'll have a ball in between wing and half forward.
This game's just come alive in the last couple of minutes. An excellent start to this third term. Port Melbourne being very strong in these first couple of minutes.
Collingwood started well from the opening centre bounce, but Port Melbourne keen to stay in this contest. There's Emmond winning the clearance. I think her cheer squad might have just missed that one. Here's DiMatteo, who's now the leading disposal getter on the ground. Emmond again in there. Mr. DiMatteo with the handball. Joyce goes in with the head over the footy. DiMatteo a chance to apply a tackle. And we'll get a ball up centre wing just by the AFLW logo. And Dudley and Matza to go at it.
And Murrah immediately wrapped up, managed to fire at the hand pass. Was trying to find Locke. Locke goes back in for a second crack. Got the kick away, but it was a grubber because she was pulled down by Neal at the same time. Wilson manages to whack the football forward. Here comes Emily Harley. She's on the hammer of Hales and brings it to ground. Harley goes in there, immediately wrapped up by Hallett. And the umpire says no opportunity. We'll call for a ball up. We'll get some thoughts from Toby Hansen.
A feisty little contest there between Hallett and Harley, I think it was. Just speaks volumes of this third term.
Ball thrown up. Ramage immediately caught and brought to ground. And she was in a bit of pain. Immediately grabbed her left ankle. And we'll get up and let's just hope it's a stinger. Yep, she's just trying to walk that one off. Ball up in the air, one out by Dudley in the contest. Neal to it first, got immediately shoved off the football. Madison Shaw had it momentarily for the Borough, managed to get it back again. Hot potato hand pass looking for Wilson. Ball on the deck, Neal watching on there, so is Bowie. And the umpire circling and says, holding the football. Pulls a hot one out and says that's a free kick going the way of the Magpies. And it's going to end up in the hands of Neve O'Connor.
Neve O'Connor's got it for the Maggies. Deep in defence. Collingwood will bring it to the broadcast side. All Port Melbourne there. Dudley with one hand was going to struggle to mark it. There's Sophie Locke, who ran into a couple of ladies wearing the black and white colours. We get a ball up still at half forward. This is a good little response here, though, from Port Melbourne, who didn't have much of the territory battle in the opening half. Collingwood from the stoppage. Bowie to Neal to Bunker, who's in all sorts. That come off her knee just about. Akela Peterson trying to feed one forward to O'Keefe. Now to Sophie Locke. And it's going to come back here to Caitlin O'Keefe, who was held on to by Caitlin Bunker. And that is a kick from O'Keefe, who wasn't very happy about it. Beth Wilson couldn't keep that one in, but importantly, it's gone inside 50 and out of play, and we'll get a ball in 45 around from goal. Collingwood 2-9-21 leading Port Melbourne 2-1-13. We've gone 9 and a bit minutes in quarter number 3 here at Victoria Park.
Dudley brings the football to ground. Bowie there. So's O'Keefe. Hand pass out quickly to Neal. Marla Neal goes up, looking for Chaston, went through her hands. Almost got knocked back to her by Bella Smith. Bella Smith still going for the football. She was over it. Barton got in there, hands and knees for the Borough. Tried to feed out the hand pass. Good tackle late on as Barton went back in for the second effort. Umpire says play on it, came out. Hallett got the hand pass stolen, though, by Dye, who kicked it in towards a dangerous position in the forward pocket, looking for Wilson. The ball just went over the boundary line and out of bounds. Hales there as well. Beth Wilson, formerly a Hawks netballer in the VFLW, and with the Wilson name, should say no confusion. She's not related to the beach volleyball in the Tom Hanks movie Castaway.
Oh, no.
As we wait for the ball to be thrown back into play, spinning back in. Dudley versus O'Connor on that occasion. O'Connor won it down. Bunker had it momentarily. Jumping in there is Harley. And the umpire says, no prior opportunity. I'll take the footy back and call for a ball up.
Port Melbourne with repeat inside forward 50 entries, going to the Sherrin stand end of the ground, but they'd love a goal. They won't get one here. Emmond won the stoppage. Awkward bouncing ball there for Bowie, who got it off to Ricardo, who kicked towards the middle of the ground. Good spoil from behind there by Barton. Bella Smith has completely taken out Claire Dyatt. And Claire Dyatt will take the free kick for Port Melbourne. It's interesting how the pendulum has swung in this game. It's Collingwood who can't get it past halfway now. Good kick from Dyatt, bounced off the face of Emily Harley, who bounced back quickly, dragged down by Hallett and one or two other Magpies. And let's get a ball up. About 45 out from goal. Port Melbourne back into attack. Harley and Hallett going at it again. Demi Hallett, who's hasn't had too much of the football, but you really feel her presence in the midfield. Now here comes a free kick, and it'll be going Collingwood's way, deep in defence, to be taken by, I think that might be Ebony Rowe back there for the Maggies. Pulled the kick. Lovely kick. Here's Emmond to the cheers and the hoo-has and the walloping of the crowds. Bunker takes the mark, and Emmond might come from the ground. No, she's going to stay on. Brownie points for bringing the captain into the game. A Bunker, awkward-looking left foot kick that might be coming back. Strong hands there by Stella Reid, and back it comes.
Reid with the footy, gets on the right boot, wants to come inboard, was looking for Navarro. Ball got away from her, though. It will work out okay in the end to Barton. Barton went to Navarro. Oh, almost picked off here. They're trying to get it across to Bowie. Dojoc with the football, can't quite control it. Hallett in there. They got Matza free in the forward 50 that could go to her, but they weren't quite quick enough. Dojoc's hand pass, though, was ill-directed. Coming through there is McWeeny. McWeeny trying to have another crack at it for Port Melbourne. Can't quite pick it up. It just came off her own feet. Went back in for a third go at it. Hand pass was a bit of a mess. O'Day for Collingwood manages to dribble one up the line. Dye attacked the football, but misread it. Had support, though. Hand pass to the ground. Went to no advantage. Hallett come in there. She's immediately wrapped up, and the umpire says, I'll take the football back and call for a ball up at the half-forward flank for Collingwood. City side of the ground. It's the Pies 2-9-21. Port Melbourne 2-1-13. Here on the VFLW, third-term football. Going in there is O'Day, hands and knees. Try to get the hand pass out to Bella Smith. Whacked away from her. Hallett may be held without it. The umpire said, no, it was fair play on. Storer there momentarily. Umpire said she was dragged to the ground without the football, and that's a free kick going the way of Olivia Storer.
Well, here's a chance for Collingwood to get the football inside 50, where they haven't had it for a long, long time. Inside 50 they go. Cleared the initial pack. Going to ground in a strong tackle was that Port Melbourne player, wrapped up by a couple of Pies, and they'll be pretty keen to lock it in there, Collingwood, because they haven't had it in there for a while. Suffice to say, Toby, the next goal in this football match is a big one.
The pressure's been applied by Collingwood. Demi Hallett just ticked away over to 7 tackles for the day, and Demateo up to 15 disposals this morning.
Katie O'Keefe in defence for Port Melbourne. Handball was just beyond Joyce, so then goes to ground. She's over at Jess Joyce. She might be in trouble if that doesn't come out. It does come out, and it come out to Bunker. Left foot kick to the top of the goal square. Ryan. Young Kaylee Ryan had a couple of opportunities. Kick smothered by Chaston. Here's Dojoc, stripped of it. Play on, said the umpire. Barton on hands and knees trying to get it clear. She might be in trouble as well if she doesn't get it out. Dojoc, the tackler. Umpire will come across and ball it up, and still it's Collingwood into attack, and they're looking to get a goal here. Stretch the margin back out beyond 10 points.
As the ball is brought to ground, a bit of pushing and shoving. Navarro going in there. Neil picks it up for Collingwood. Gets off the hand pass to Xander, who kicks around the corner. And the ball is out of bounds on the full, missing everything. Let's get some further thoughts again from our match analyst and Toby Hansen.
Yeah, well, this game, it's shifting back and forth. It's starting to be Collingwood's game again, but they're set up so well across that centre of the ground. Right back there, they've got Katie Lee, just the spare defender deep.
Barton goes long up the line, come off hands, went past Harley, but she will make an impact on this contest. Stroller wanted to go in there. Harley went to ground, managed to feed out the ball well, and it went to the advantage of the Borough. They kick it in towards the middle of the ground. Bouncing football.
Oh,
Katie
no.
Lee. Oh, she kicked it away from her own feet. She's got company, though. She's going to, well, she thought about picking it up. She was being harassed by Isabella Stutt.
Oh.
2-on-1. The numbers worked out in the end, and Isabella Stutt a little bit clumsy and has given away the free kick. And that is Katie Lee will take it away, though, for Collingwood. She's got to play all by herself on the half-back flank, and that's Nicole Hales, playing in her 50th VFLW game for the Pies today. Kicks it long up the line. Mark taken, smart footy. Molly Emin taken out there. Molly Emin coming on the ground, should I say. And the mark taken out there by Bunker, who went up the line. And out towards the half-forward flank position, looking for O'Day. She went to ground. And getting wrapped up here and holding the football, according to the umpire, was Jessica Joy. She's coughed up the pill. Collingwood ball. And they're on the half-forward flank. One step, long kick, heading in the dough. Shock direction.
Got it.
Has she swallowed it?
Yes.
She has. The umpire's very late on the whistle, but she will be having a shot on goal. 45-degree angle, 25 metres out from goal.
Well, the girl they called Nike that we were told pre-match kick 2 on debut the other week. And on a slight angle here, it might be a bit tougher of a kick down to the river end.
Urjock comes in, and she's away to the right-hand side. 2:10:22 Collingwood, Port Melbourne 2:1:13 here on WARFradio.com. Delay-free at the ground, 89.1 FM, and, of course, you're watching on the VFLW YouTube stream.
Yeah, 2 goals in the last quarter for Nike Dojok. She's the one they'll have to watch as this game wears on. Port Melbourne, of course, did play 3 games last year for the Bulldogs. That was her Collingwood debut last week. Kayla Peterson after mark it in the back pocket. Kicking towards the Jessica Joyce direction. Out of play it goes. Ball in at left half forward for Collingwood. It was all Port Melbourne in the early parts of this third quarter. They have a 10-point margin. 2 goals, 10-22. They lead Port Melbourne 2-1-13. Collingwood 1 goal, 1 in this quarter. Port Melbourne 1 goal. So it's kicked clear. Now can Reid keep that in? No, and she couldn't get a touch on it either. It's going to be out by Lassu. Port Melbourne hemmed in here. This is young Olivia Storer to bring it back in for the Maggies. VFLW game number 5. That's a lovely kick. And here's Molly Emmond, who will send Collingwood into attack. We've played nearly 17 minutes in the third quarter. That's a nice looking kick, although it just dropped in front of Marla Neal. Broke the tackle of Sophie Locke. Handball to Chaston. Chaston a long driving ball towards full forward. They've got numbers here, Collingwood, but the bounce will favour Barton. Barton had to get it onto the boot quickly. Claire Dyett's got to go. She's outnumbered. Ricard Colborne-Veal got there first for the Pies, looking for DiMatteo, but it's just going to drift wide and out of bounds on the full. And Port Melbourne cop a break there. They'll bring it back in deep in the left back pocket.
So, the Borough find themselves at the moment down by 9 points here at Victoria Park. They kick across the face, and it's taken by Lisa Davey. And looking for Harley, 1 bounce over the boundary line and out of bounds. Not the greatest kick in the world, and she's put the hand up saying, yeah, my fault, my bag.
You can see what they're trying to do though, Port Melbourne. They're trying to switch the football, trying to catch Collingwood out and switch up the angles.
It's a really bold choice to go across the face with a nice high kick like that. Probably put her teammate under a bit of pressure.
Ball is thrown back in. Winbanks brought it to ground. Molly Emmon with a kick on the left boot. Tries to square it up. Joe Jock coming at it, but beaten out by Barton. And Barton gave the don't argue. She got the jumper pulled to Dyatt and then gave off another hand pass. Kicking up the line on this occasion is Jessica Joyce in towards the middle of the ground. Collingwood do have numbers back here. Nicole Hales is one of them. Under pressure, she manages to get her kick away. Managing to spot Ebony row your boat. Now goes out towards the half-forward flank position. Umpire says too high. Free kick going the way of Sophie Locke. with the red ribbon in the hair. Sophie Locke gets on the right boot, goes up the line, was looking for, and the ball just bouncing away of Isabella Stutt. Close towards the boundary line. It is socketed along the carpet. It stays in. Dye picks it up there for the Borough. Got away from Chaston. Goes high with a kick, was looking for Wilson. Hales are committed to it way too early. Lee gave the hand pass off. Navarro tried to do the smothering work. Wasn't successful. Sophie Locke comes in and spoils Colburn-Veal. In goes Neil. Neil had it momentarily. Bramage. It's helmet versus helmet there at the moment. In goes Sophie Locke as well. It's wrapped up. And the umpire will call for a bounce between centre wing and the half-forward flank for the Borough. It is Collingwood 2-10-22, Port Melbourne 2-1-13.
You can see why Port Melbourne, when they have it deep in defence, are trying to change up the angles. That last time they come out, and Collingwood had all the numbers behind the football. They're trying to avoid that. Coming clear here, Peterson. Just had her kick smothered. Emmond handball forward. Here come the Maggies. Colborne-Veal. Here's De Jock and Barton. There's a good contest. It's there for De Jock to win it at ground level. Look out. 40 out. Deep towards the goal square. Great defending on the last line of defence for Port Melbourne. I think that's young Kaylee Ryan, who outmarked Grace Matzer, who's about a foot taller than her. Very important mark. Lisa Davey will slide in and grab the kick that come from Emily Harley. Right on the three-quarter time siren. And we're all set up for a big final quarter here. Collingwood extend the half-time margin of 8 points to 9 points as we turn for home. Collingwood 2-10-22 will lead Port Melbourne 2-1-13. Still just the two goal kickers apiece. Bella Smith and Matilda Zander for Collingwood, and for Port Melbourne, Jessica Joyce and Kayla Peterson. And so it is the Maggies by 9 points as we turn for home here at Victoria Park. Peter Holden.
And we get some thoughts on how that third quarter played out from our match analyst today, Toby Hanson.
Yeah, well, Pete, that game just radically opened up in this third term. I don't know, either side probably unlucky not to get on the scoreboard a little bit more. We see Monique Di Matteo up to 15 disposals. She's joined by Molly Emmond and Caitlin O'Keefe for Port Melbourne. And the goal kickers, of course, Matilda Zander, 1 goal, 3. Bella Smith, 1 goal, 1. Kayla Peterson, 1 straight. And Jess Joyce also 1 straight. In the ruck contest has been Kate Dudley's afternoon, 25 hit-outs. Her closest on that stat is Bridie Winback. She's got 9. Collingwood, they just can't hack it out in the ruck yet, but they're probably winning the ground battle in the middle at the moment, Brett.
Yeah, they started to get on top, didn't they? Collingwood in the second half of that quarter. Overall disposals, Collingwood 167, Port Melbourne 123. Collingwood have been the best stoppage team through the first month of the season, plus 5 in that number, 24-19 in Collingwood's favour. Port Melbourne are going to have to get on top in that particular stat in this last quarter if they're any chance to win.
At Whitten Oval, 5 minutes have gone into the third term, and the Hawks 10-9-69 Lemon Chicken lead. The Western Bulldogs 1 straight 6. Goal kickers for the Hawks, 3 to Stratton, 2 to Carbone, 2 to Zaghetti, singles to Baroldson, Shannon and Williams, and just the 1 to Mary Sandrell for the Bulldogs. And out of that game, when you look at the stats for Hawthorn, 14 touches for Tamara Luke and 12 kid-outs, 12 disposals each for Carbone and Zaghetti, 11 to Cox, 10 each to Shannon, Whelan and Williams. Bridget Deed, their first AFLW signing with 9 disposals. That's 4 kicks, 5 handballs, 1 tackle. For the Western Bulldogs, 14 disposals to Schneider, 10 to Freeman, 8 to Meyer. And again, that game is on AFL.com.au, the AFL Live app, and also via the VFL app. But here at three-quarter time, it's Collingwood 2-10-22, leading Port Melbourne 2-1-13. We'll be back after this.
The commentary of the game you're currently listening to is from the volunteers at Women's Australian Rules Football Radio. Founded in 2014, WARF Radio is not just here to provide a professional call the women's game deserves, but also provide important experience for those wanting a career in sports media. If you're a past or present women's footballer or coach or a media student and you'd like to give football commentary a try, visit warfradio.com and click on volunteer. That's warfradio.com and click on volunteer.
No matter what your age, most of us played sport when we were young, and there was always one thing that made you want to disappear into the corner or even give up your chosen sport. And that was when somebody on the sideline hurled abuse at either you or a teammate or an official. These are things that make sports so painful for so many kids, and the time has come to stop it. I'm Usman Khawaja from the Australian cricket team. My message is a simple one. Let kids be kids. Let them enjoy their sport. Find out more at playbytherules.net.au.
You need to get a booster to stay up to date with your COVID-19 vaccinations. Boosters are now approved for everyone 16 years and older, 3 months after your second dose. Boosters increase your protection against becoming very sick or dying from COVID-19 and are available through your GP, pharmacist or other healthcare professional. Book your booster at australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Secure transmission for your ears only.
Good day. Today, more than 110,000 Australians live with a blood cancer. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join the Leukemia Foundation and a crack team of registered shavers from around the country to kick blood cancer's tush. We call it Mission Possible. Sign up to shave at worldsgreatestshave.com. This ad will now self-destruct.
It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day.
From Victoria Park in Abbotsford, it is the VFL Women's Match of the Day on WARFradio.com, at the ground, delay free on 89.1 FM, and on the VFLW YouTube channel, where you got Peter Holden, Brent Sternberg and Toby Hansen with you. Collingwood 2-10-22, lead Port Melbourne 2-1-13. Both sides still in their huddles for their final words. I guess the question is, Toby Hansen, we know that Port Melbourne have got some work to do. They're only 9 points down. Do they have enough momentum swing at some stage to find those 2 goals and hold on and pinch the game? Or is Collingwood going to hold on? Or even opposite, will Collingwood find a couple of goals and blow it out?
Couple of stats for you here, Pete. It's 12 scoring shots to 3, but the margin's only 9 points. And I said in that first quarter, if Caitlin Bunker can get to 20 disposals, Collingwood wins this game. She's only at 12 to three-quarter time.
We should mention with the injuries as well, we've got Danica Pedersen, who's obviously thrown on the ice behind the hamstring. She did walk slowly off the ground during the first half. And, of course, there was concerns as well for Chloe Locke, who seemed to have whacked her head on the ground, and she was...
Actually has her right arm in a sling, Chloe Locke, so that's an interesting development.
Yeah, indeed, because remember, she was holding her arm up, and we said she was tilting her head back at that time when we said that she was coming off the ground, but obviously her day is done. So both sides are almost equal. They're both down one rotation. But the question is, who was going to potentially give the bigger impact, Pedersen or Chloe Locke?
Gee, that's tough. They're similar sort of players, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're sort of play in and under, in the middle. One stat that I'm a bit concerned about is the inside 50s, 33-14, Collingwood's way. If they're going to win Port Melbourne, they probably can't let Collingwood score again. So the Pies by 5 at quarter time, 8 at half time, 9 here as we turn for home. Dudley in the ruck went early and completely missed it. O'Keefe steps out of the tackle. Port Melbourne to come forward first. In front there, Locke couldn't take the mark. She'll get it on the rebound. Got her hands free. Navarro trying to handball it out into space. O'Day went hard and low and Bramage took her to the deck. O'Day pounced out of there and got a handball to Hales towards the middle of the ground. Ryan in front couldn't take the mark. Now Collingwood on the rebound. It's Emmond who sinks her slipper into it. Great mark taken at centre half back. Olivia Barton, who's been sensational today. Kick to the outer side. Port Melbourne have it just backward of the wing. It's Ingrid Hootsma.
Hootsma with the football, city side of the ground. Gets on the right boot and goes long up the line towards the central wing position. Wilson came late, spoiled the ball to ground. Chaston picked up the ball and got immediately caught there by Locke. Just managed to get rid of the football in the nick of time. In goes to Matteo. She's immediately caught on this occasion and wrapped up by Lisa Davey. And the umpire will come in and call for a ball up between centre and centre half forward. As the ball is thrown up in the air. Pies attacking towards the Sharon stand and just managed to get rid of the ball in the nick of time. Diet with a footy. Goes for an interesting little kick off the side of the boot. Going in there is Sophie Locke. Can't quite control it. Then went with a little grabber kick along the ground. Wilson's going to try and catch Rowe. No, Rowe got rid of the nick of time to Katie Lee. And Lee went down the line looking for a solid mark there. And it looks like it might be. Is that Matilda Zander that's got her hands on the footy? She has it on the centre wing position in front of Kate Adams. She goes up the line. Finds Nicole Hales. Hales goes for a little chip kick, and it's just chip football at the moment.
Good work by the Pies, and here's another one. Emmond down to half forward. Here comes the captain, Bunker, who's led from the front again today. Not quite in terms of her normal disposal numbers, but been pretty good in and under and in the clinches. Her kick, though, is a turnover. And here is Beth Wilson, who's just playing behind the ball here. And Port Melbourne, needless to say, they need the first goal in this one. Handball away by Wilson. Here's Barton, right half back. Kick will hug the boundary line. Sophie Locke with the clean hands takes the mark. Look for her to get busy in this final quarter. Her kick bounced right off the hands of Ingrid Hertzma. Big ball to be won here, centering out of side. Zander applies the tackle on Adams, I think it was in there. And we get a ball up, centre wing out of side. Collingwood leading by 9 points. Big final quarter coming up. Collingwood looking to get back on the winners list. Port Melbourne looking to string 2 wins together.
And the umpire says that one's too high, and a free kick going the way of the Pies. Player down on the ground, just taking a little while to get up. Looks like, I see a 73, Olivia Storer. And Storer gets the resulting footy and says, okay, I'll try and reset our play and just go with a little chip kick up the line. Nicely taken by Bunker. Gives it back to Storer, who goes on the right boot with a longer kick this time, only to be intercepted by Lisa Davey at the half-back flank there for the Borough. She's on the City side of the ground, thought about the switch, then elected to give off the running hand pass to Barton, who called for it, and Barton very close towards the boundary line with a kick, intercepted anyway by Matilda Zander. Zander with a footy in front of where the scoreboard is clearly not working for the VFLW game. Now decides to get on the right boot and go long up the line. Went through the hands there of Ryan, who couldn't hang on to it. Trying to get in the pressure there as Bramage came out. Pies ball, one-step kick. Dojok chasing after it. It's a bouncing football.
Oh.
Will it go through for a point? It stays in. Dojok still keeping it alive. Oh! No, she must have clipped the post.
Yep.
Minus score. She was being harassed. She was being warned by McWeeny. Almost did the job, but another minus score. 2-11-23, Collingwood. Port Melbourne 2-1-13.
Yeah, that was Kate Adams who went one-on-one with Nike Dojok and did it well. Davey, that's an untidy kick, but Sophie Locke will make it look better. Stepped around the tackler, kick to the outer side. Beautiful kick as well. Dropped it right into the arms of Caitlin O'Keefe, who's just about been best on ground today for the girls in red and blue. Locke's been pretty darn good as well. She ran by for the handball. Port Melbourne to half forward. That's a delightful kick. And reaching out and taking the mark is Joyce. Port Melbourne on the march. Kick towards the pocket. That's where the march will end. Nicole Hales cuts it off. Deep in the back pocket. Come out towards this near side, and she does what Toby Hansen says don't do, and that's go across goal, but it works out. And here is Bella Smith. Her kick's going to find Eloise Chaston, who's been a bit quiet today. I might check her numbers individually in a moment, but haven't noticed her too much. And with finals coming up and Collingwood likely to make it, it's not the time of year you want to find yourself in the VFLW, and yet here she is. Davey couldn't take the mark. Winbank's trying to get it to Shaw. Shaw jumped on by Ricardo. Sticking her leg in the air, Maddie Shaw. Doing the thing that the rugby players do, the sort of thing. Here's Toby.
Chaston just rolled over to 10 disposals this morning.
As the ball is thrown up in the air, Winbanks again going in the contest versus Bella Smith. Bella caught with it, probably dropped the goal. Play on, says the umpire. O'Day's kick around the corner, immediately caught there by Jessica Joyce. He got brought to ground, managed to get rid of the hand pass in the nick of time. Ended up with Bramage in the end, and Bramage got it across to Ryan. Ryan goes towards the hotspot, 45 metres out from goal. Lee did the work, then with Sophie Locke, who got rid of it, brought down. Umpire said it was fair. Play on. Stella Reid is put into the ground by Katie Lee, and the umpire comes in and says no pro opportunity. And we'll call for a ball up 45 metres out from the Borough goal. Umpire's going to reset play very quickly and throws the football up in the air. Pies lead by 10 points. Reid did the ruck work, roving there by Sophie Locke, which was immediately smothered off her boot. Bowie just kicked around the corner, looking almost for the safety of the boundary line. Claire Dide is there. Claire Dide on the left boot is wide, and will just sneak in for a minus score. Port Melbourne 2-2-14. Collingwood 2-11-23. And we get some thoughts from our match analyst, Toby Hansen.
Well, the skipper there, Claire Dide, she just didn't have an option at the top of the square. Forced her to try and kick the goal. It was a very clean pickup, I must say, but just no options at the top of the square. It's simple things like that. That's why Port Melbourne, they just can't break into this game properly.
Hale short with the kick into Demi Hallett in the bright blue hair and the bright orange boots. Collingwood to the outer side. Just through the hands of the Port Melbourne player. I think that was Barton. Zander pinched it. Dojok and McWhinney go at it. Dojok, can she win with pace? Not quite. McWhinney has done so well to hold her up. Trying to get a handball to a teammate who thought she was taken without it. Play on. Here come the Magpies. Emmond, long ball into the goal square. Chasten's going to run onto this one. If she can keep it in, she can. Will she wheel around or go straight by Kaylee Ryan and kick a goal, Eloise Chasten? And that is a dagger. We just said about how she has been a little bit quiet, but she's had a monster moment here early in the final quarter, and it's going to be mighty tough now for the Burratobi.
Yeah, well, she got on the leg. She's bolted from the centre circle, and that's exactly why Collingwood got the goal. They had a player out the back. They had a player. They had an option, someone to link up to. It's why Port Melbourne, they couldn't convert just earlier, but Collingwood, they go end-to-end, and they've broken this lead forward.
A bunch of what-ifs, isn't it? Because when that earlier play down the city side wing about 2 minutes ago for Port Melbourne, the kick was good, but the Port Melbourne player was intended for slipped at the crucial moment and couldn't get into position. And 2 minutes later, from what could be Port Melbourne getting back into the game, maybe game over. 3:11:29 to 2:2:14. 15-point lead to Collingwood over Port Melbourne here in our VFLW match of the day. Ball is thrown up in the air, one out on that occasion by Dudley. Burra getting the football first, kicked out by Kate Adams towards the forward pocket. They'll go long through Peterson with a high ball. Neve O'Connor back there juggling it versus Reid. Reid had her wrapped up. In goes Locke as well. Could be in trouble. Could be in trouble. Gone. Sophie Locke gets the resulting free kick for Port Melbourne. Maybe outside her range. She'll be kicking from about 45 metres out on a very tight angle. Sophie Locke elects to launch the football. She's got range, but she don't have accuracy. It's away and out of bounds on the full, just past the right-hand point post. 3:11:29 Collingwood, Port Melbourne 2-2-14.
The Magpies by 15 points, which is the game-high lead. And, well, it looks like a winning lead as they have it here in the back pocket. Hales just took something off the kick looking for Bella Smith. It's a little bit lazy by the Pies. They're going to give Port Melbourne another forward 50 stoppage. Ball in will come about 40 metres around from goal. Collingwood into attack. And we said this has been the scoring end, hasn't it, really? We haven't seen too many goals today, but most of them kicked up this end. Umpire whirls it back into play. O'Connor and Dudley. Dudley won it down. Emmond, who's had a ton of it today, kick towards half forward. Shaw was brave. Can she win it on the deck, Maddie Shaw? She can. Kick inside 50 and will find Sophie Locke, who has it again 40 metres out. We said that she probably didn't have the range a moment ago. This is almost the exact distance. And Sophie missed everything. Much better angle this time, though. As good as directly in front. Must kick this Sophie Locke. In she comes. Set sail for home. She's kicked the cover off it, Sophie, but it's going to drift away to the right-hand side. And they're missing opportunities. The Borough, and time is slipping through their fingers as well. It's another behind, and the margin is back to 14 points. So it's Collingwood, what are they, 5-11?
3-11.
3-11, sorry, I can't see the scoreboard. 3-11-29, and Port Melbourne at 2-4-16.
2-3-15 for Port Melbourne.
2-3-15.
Almost there. Almost there.
They're quick on the app.
As the ball is now in the hands of Courtney Bramage, and the umpire says, I'll take the football back, please. And we'll throw the football up in the air and we'll get going again. Brought down once more. On the outside was Wingbanks. Marla Neal circling. Marla Neal will go in there, can't extract it. And the umpire will ask for the football back once more. Goal kickers so far today, it's all singles. Smith, Xander and Chasten for Collingwood. For Port Melbourne, singles to Peterson and Joyce. Now the clearing ball for the Pies towards centre wing. Broadcast side looking for Chasten. At her feet, went back in and picked it up. Chasten got the kick away before being dumped afterwards. No downfield free kick. Play on's the call. Coming in there and picking it up there and having to do a little bit of dancing work is Kaylee Ryan. And Ryan sent it back from whence it came. Only for a bit of ping-pong back and forward stuff because it's taken by Bunker of Collingwood, who comes inboard now to Colburn Veal. She gets on the right boot. You can hear the kick through our effects, Mike. Long looking for Dojoc. Just knocked away from her. Molly Emmond goes in there. Low flat ball. Was looking for Ebony Rowe. Getting there first, though, is Lisa Davey for Port Melbourne. And she kicks it out to a foot race on the half-back flank. Getting there first and putting on the afterburners is McWeeny. Gets it in front of herself. McWeeny still going. Now kicks it up the line. Is there anyone on the half-forward flank? No, not really.
Oh, great win, Sophie.
Sophie Locke. Sophie Locke's got two to beat, and she beats them both. Goes inside 50. Emily Harley. Ladies and gentlemen, Sophie Locke, please, just round of applause. And she gets going on quickly. Emily Harley That is the play of the day if this gets finished off with a goal. And having it directly in front is Ingrid Hootsma, Toby Hansen.
Well,
You're speechless, aren't you?
I honestly do not know what to say. That was an unbelievable play. Ingrid Hootsma comes in.
And she's got it straight over the goal umpire's hat.
What a
Has
play.
Sophie Locke reignited the flame for Port Melbourne? I ask you that question. And the Borough moved to 3-3-21. They trail by 8 points. Collingwood 3-11-29. Once again, with a speechless Toby Hansen.
Well, we almost called the game a couple of minutes ago. Port Melbourne somehow back into it. And the Port Melbourne bench, after that run of play, it was like a soccer team just scored a 90th minute winner. It was unbelievable, absolute scenes. Imagine if that happened in front of us with Molly's Mafia.
If coaches keep talking about always take the game on, take the game on, take the game on, just play that last bit of video, that last passage of play from Sophie Locke and go, that's the example when we say take the game on.
And Chloe spoke about Chloe McMillan, that is the Collingwood coach, about being process-driven. Sometimes you just need a bit of guts and class, and that's exactly what Sophie Locke showed there to keep this game alive. Although here comes Ebony O'Day out of the middle, handball to Bowie, he ran past a couple of Port Melbourne players. Collingwood looking to put this one to bed once and for all. Kick inside 50, bouncing ball, ping-ponging around in there. McWhinney skewed off the side of the boot. Ricardo takes the mark 50 out from goal. She's been pretty good today as well, Georgia Ricardo. Looking to hit up the lead. Oh, Chaston, pay her the mark, umpire, and he does. Boy, she was made to earn it from Kate Dudley. And Chaston, who thought she put the game to bed a couple of minutes ago, will try and do so here. Great contest there by Eloise Chaston. Really had to go, didn't she? Her number was called out. 6 games for the Hawthorn VFLW team last season. And this would be a bitter pill to swallow for Port Melbourne after that last play and that last goal. And Chaston leans back on the kick. And that's been knocked into the goalpost. So a behind, which will make the margin 9 points. Still need a couple of goals to win, Port Melbourne. Collingwood, it'll be, are they up to 30 now, Peter? They
3-12-30.
3-12-30, that's Collingwood. Port Melbourne 3-2-21, and we've gone 14 and a bit minutes in the final quarter.
3-12 to 3-3 here at Victoria Park as the ball is taken in the back pocket by Madison Shaw. Shaw now goes up the line with the kick, was looking for Wilson, knocked out of her hands. It was a dangerous kick. Now Ebony O'Day managed to get kick away while being brought down. Dojock committed early to the contest. Shaw wanted to try and kick it off the ground and miscued it. Dojock again goes in for the football, gets a little hurried hand pass out, but Wilson comes in the late tackle. In fact, pardon me, it wasn't Wilson. That was, in fact, it was Wilson, pardon me. And the umpire, because it's going, what's she doing down in defence? Laying tackles, apparently. And the umpire says, I'll take the football back to ball it up. So, again, it's going to be Dudley going up versus Emin in the contest. O'Day dispossessed of the football. Tried to do a bit of acting. The umpire said, no, not paying it. Emin went with a hand pass looking for Colburnville. Navarro on her tail. Oof. And Colburnville gets brought down to ground by Navarro. Play on, says the umpire. That's fair. Going in there to Emin, going back to Bunkin, going back to Emin one more time. In goes Neve O'Connor as well. Ball. And this time she is caught holding the football. She was harassed by Claire Dyatt. And Claire Dyatt just almost was going to give her one to go on with. And then she thought, oh, hang on, I could give up the football. And that's probably not a good idea. And that's why she took the wise decision of kicking it up the line. Mark taken. Joyce now looking for Sophie Locke, who was coming at the crucial moment but got cut off. And the mark taken there by Bunker, who's going to try and calm things down for the Pies.
Great stuff by the Collingwood skipper. Took a brave mark. Handball to Smith, who has spiralled one. It was touched off the boot. Emin took the mark but had to play on. Backing back, Wilson. Great mark. I was going to say she was protected from her ruckwoman Dudley, but not really, because Dudley cannoned straight into her. Here's Barton at centre-half back. She can come across the back 50 here. She's got Kaylee Ryan. Will she pull the trigger on the kick? She will. Ryan has to take that mark, as closing quickly was Xander. Port Melbourne can come to this near wing here, and it's Claire Dyatt who has it right on the backward point of the centre square. Trailing by 9 points. Into the middle they go. It was over the head of Bramage. Bounce will favour Colborne-Veal, who was upended as she got the kick away, but she's found Ricardo. Ricardo inside 50. Collingwood are out here. 2-on-1. Bouncing ball. Taking it Xander. Xander will steady. Xander will finish it. Matilda Xander, one of the best on ground today for the ladies in the white and black. That'll be her second goal. Collingwood are home and dry now. They lead 4-12-36. Port Melbourne 3-3-21. The Pies back out to a 14-point lead, Toby.
Matilda's end up 17 touches, 2 goals, 3, and there's probably only about, 4 minutes to play, if that, in this afternoon's game. So I think Collingwood are home, but Matilda's end it. She's got to be in that conversation for best on ground, Pete.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we don't have the boundary rider today with us, so we're unable to send someone down to have a post-game chat, but no doubt when she comes off the ground, Molly's cheer squad will give Matilda Zander a big applause for what effort that she's put in today for the Magpies. As the umpire has the ball back in the middle of the ground and throws it high in the air, and away we go again. Magpies do win the tab, looking for Bowie to pick it up with Bramage on her tail. Hurried little squeeze kick by Corbin Vell, trying to find Marlon Neal, who came attacking at the football. Monique DiMatteo comes out there. Taken away by the Baron Peterson. Peterson went back to Ryan. It was smothered off her boot. Now Bunker. Bunker looking for Dojock in the one-on-one versus Barton. Barton did well. Dojock all over her, though. Got the hand pass out. Was trying to find Winbanks, who was back there.
Oh.
There's Chaston, who just pulled up a bit lame. Dojock has taken the mark. I don't know if it's... I think it's possibly cramped there for Chaston.
Yep.
Because she just pulled up and grabbed back to her left calf as she kicked that. And Dojock will be looking for her first. In she comes. 45-degree angle. Oh, hook on the kick from 20 metres out. She'll look back on the tape, go, yeah, that's not one of the better kicks. And that one is out of bounds on the full forward. 12:36 for Collingwood. Port Melbourne 3-3-21. We'll get some thoughts from our match analyst and Toby Hansen.
Yeah, I noticed that she had the set shot down at the river end of the ground in that last term. She sort of just stabs the ball as she kicks. She doesn't kick it quite all the way through.
Trouble again for Port Melbourne, 2-on-1. Bowie, Dojock's onto it. Go and kick a goal, Nike. Oh, brilliant.
She makes up for it.
Sensational. On a tight angle as well, and the Magpies will celebrate into the night. Fantastic goal. Nike, just do it. She just did it. And the Pies are back on the winners list. And I'm not going to read out the score. You do that, Peter, because I've butchered the scorecard today.
5-12-42 Collingwood, Port Melbourne 3-3-21, because they don't have a working scoreboard for us commentators here at the ground. They only save it for the AFLW types. You know, the Jason Bennetts and the Nigel Carmodys, they get the red carpet treatment. we get a fold-up table that you brought in, Brent.
It's a good win here for the Maggies. Coming up a tricky next month. They're away to Carlton, and then at home, Casey, away down the highway to Geelong, and then away to the Bombers. That's after the week off next week, of course. So big 4 weeks coming up for Collingwood.
Ball back in the middle of the ground. Trying to go through is Ebony O'Day, who wraps up Ramage, and the umpire says no opportunity. How about Port Melbourne's road?
Port Melbourne away to Williamstown in a couple of weeks, then away to the Saints before their first home game against the Bulldogs at Northport Oval. Finally back at home.
As the umpire's just circling as McWhiney gets brought to ground, says no opportunity, ball up. That will be a big game between the arch rivals, Port Melbourne and Williamstown. They're kind of evenly placed at the moment.
Is the Williamstown cricket ground available? Is that off cricket? Do we expect in 2 weeks' time?
By the time they do, it'll be near the end of March, so I believe it would be available. If not, it'll be interesting to see what venue they pull out as a neutral venue, and the siren sounds. And that is full-time here at Victoria Park in Abbotsford. And in the end, Collingwood ran away with it. 5-12-42, defeating Port Melbourne 3-3-21. Collingwood will now go to a 3-2 record. Port Melbourne will sit at 1-4 as we hit, I should remind supporters, the bye week. There will be no VFLW next weekend.
So it's a good win for Collingwood then, isn't it, going into that bye week? And we spoke about their difficult month coming up. Pretty close game all afternoon. We sort of wondered if Collingwood might kick away. They did in the end. Their class prevailed. Despite a gallant, final quarter performance from the Sophie Locke-led Port Melbourne, 21-point winners in the end. The Magpies, the game's biggest lead, but I reckon they can take a little bit out of that Port Melbourne. They were pretty good for the most part. Collingwood kept the door ajar, didn't they, Toby, with a bit of inaccuracy, but still some things to work on for Port Melbourne when they come out of the break, and they'll be 1-4 now.
Yeah, I'm thinking that first quarter is probably what killed them. They just couldn't hack away outside of Collingwood's forward 50. They couldn't get out. But 17 scoring shots to 6, and it was only 21 points in the end. So an interesting and bizarre day at Victoria Park. Collingwood